think while I lie awake and contemplate tonight, wearing me out. Well, maybe tomorrow the world will wake and get it right, but I have my doubts, yeah. So during the day, well, I design machines of war that scream through the sky. 'Cause I, for one, I like to go to bed free at night, under these stars and stripes. And I have my doubts that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts. And I have my doubts that we'll make it back out. Yes, I have my doubts. But they'll wind you up and pull the cord until you're spun right out. And I don't understand. So roll the dice and raise the price to feed the machine's mouth. Call it the progress of man. Yes, I have my doubts. And I have my doubts that we'll make it back out. And I have my doubts. So I'll drink my stuff and raise some hell and shoot my guns to the end of my time. You can have the booze and go to hell and take the guns, but I know they won't be mine. And I have my doubts that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts. And I have my doubts that we'll make it back up. Yes, I have my doubts. So we're all messed up and out of touch. Let's text someone who's in the other room. So don't wonder why we don't say hi or know anyone. I might as well move to the moon. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. Well, the things I think, well, I lie awake and contemplate at night.
Good afternoon. Well, it is certainly an exciting day for me. I cannot wait. I've just been looking so forward to getting Preppernurse1 back on the show, and a topic that's near and dear to me, EMP. But of course, anything is open. So. Anything that anybody has any questions about, they'll be able to ask. So I'm looking so forward to this show. Now, he'll be on in an hour. So what I thought I would do is I thought I would take the opportunity during the monologue to explain a little bit more, or to explain about who we are, what we do, what we stand for, and stuff like that, because I'm assuming we're going to be having a lot of fresh viewers coming in, and so I think it's important for me to explain what we do, and the reason why is because I totally understand how a drive-by viewer may watch a video and be like, okay, yeah, I'm not going there, you know. I get that. It's a hard pill to swallow when you hear the truth, and when you have a source that is adamant about giving you the truth on everything, and doesn't choose a party line, or doesn't choose this or that doesn't join any teams, then it's a bit frustrating, because one moment you're like, oh yeah, this guy's awesome, he gets it, right? And then the next video that comes out, he's like, this guy's a complete moron. No, just being honest. And see, that's that is something that's been long lost in news media today, and it's a hard pill to swallow. It's not something that people are used to anymore. So I thought I would spend a little bit of time talking about that, and then if anybody had any questions or anything like that before Preppernurse1 comes on, they can feel free to ask. So, wow, I guess I guess I'll explain a little bit about how we do things at the top of the show. We have a monologue, and during the beginning of the monologue, typically I go over, we are a transparent organization, so I go over our financial information. I do all that online. I take you all through it so you can see what it is, and then we go from there. And throughout the day, I tweet out news, what I consider to be important news first to keep an eye on. And so after we go over the financial stuff, then I go through the news articles that I have tweeted out throughout the day, and then it's time for my rant, as I typically call it. Sometimes it's a rant, sometimes I don't have anything to say, and I keep it short and sweet. Yesterday the topic was PTSD, and how we can really help, how we can really make an impact, make a change in what's going on, and maybe knock down the numbers for the 22 veterans a day that commit suicide. So that's what I talked about yesterday, and it's rough. I was just completely honest and completely blunt. As being somebody that suffers from PTSD, sometimes pretty severely, I felt maybe I could give a little bit of insight to it, and being that I had a rough day yesterday, I would be able to speak from a place that people don't often get to hear, except for the loved ones. And it's rough. It's rough. So that's what yesterday was about. But sometimes my rants are about news stuff. Sometimes it varies. So, but I try to be as real as I can. I try to be as logical as I can, and most importantly, I try to be informative. So I do get rough sometimes. I used to have a long-standing thing to where I never even cursed on the air, and since I've been starting to do the monologues, that does change from time to time. And I'm not a vulgar person. I'm not a belligerent type of person. I try to keep it toned down. I try to have a soft-spoken voice and a soft demeanor about myself while being honest. And sometimes I just get fired up about stuff, and you might hear a few things fly, but I try to keep it down to an absolute minimum. And I think it's an important part of language, explicit words, because as long as the explicit words aren't used like every other word, I think they serve a very important purpose in our language, and that is, I think it shows, where there needs to be a lot of emphasis. Now, if you've got a drama queen that every other word is the F word, well, then, then you pretty much, it no longer has any bearing. It's like the town that turns on their tornado sirens every time the wind blows, right? It doesn't take long and nobody pays attention to the sirens anymore, right? So I hope, and my intent is that when I do get a little tested and words do fly, that folks understand that that's because there's that much passion behind the words that I'm saying. And I think that's important. But I wanted to clear that up because that's something that I'd never done before. And I tried not to, and it took a lot of restraint. I'm a human being, folks. I'm just a human being. So anyway, I thought I would explain that. And we typically, the most important thing that we can do as a news media organization is to inform. And that's what we try to do. We try to combine a mixture of news, talking about what's going on in the world, and we try to combine it with prepping and survival. And I think that's really important, and that's something that I don't see a lot of channels doing. Typically, you have news channels or you have prepping channels, survivalist, bushcraft, but to intermix the two on a daily basis, that's something that I certainly hadn't seen before. So that's why we do it. We don't have a real super professional anything about us. So that's something that I hope folks aren't looking for when they come to the Watchman News, because they're not going to get it. I can do all the flashy, neat stuff. I've got choices. You've always got to give and take. They're always, right? And considering that we can't hire a big old crew to do all kinds of fancy, cool stuff for us, you got me. And so I'm one guy, and I've got to be the monkey pushing buttons here at the same time speaking with you and all that good stuff. So unfortunately, I can't do all kinds of wicked fancy stuff all the time if I have to put my attention other places. So we don't have a bunch of flashy stuff, and that's another part of it too. Is when it comes to this channel, in a sense, everybody is welcome, and I mean everybody is welcome, right? I don't want to. I think I lost my train of thought. Wow. Everybody is welcome here, and you will not hear me. You will not hear me be racist. You will not hear me be discriminatory. You just won't catch those things coming from me. I believe that I believe that the most important thing for us to understand for what is coming, and meaning SHTF or whatever it is that you want to call it, is that we're gonna be left with each other, right? We're gonna be left with each other. So it's probably a good idea if we have at least a relatively decent relationship with one another ahead of time. Otherwise, it's not going to be pretty. But anyway, and there was a line of thought I was going with too, which, by the way, I never did get to because I lost my track of thought. It's what happens. So anyway, let me run through the financial stuff and get that out of the way. That way I can pay more attention to talking about what we do and pay attention to the chat a little better. I see Preppernurse1 just put out his video a little bit ago. He said he was going to mention the show, and he was trying to get his video out ahead of time. And so I figured, let's get this stuff out of the way. I have a feeling we're going to have people coming in as the time goes by. Okay, I do have a pretty cool announcement as far as Preppernurse1 is concerned, aside from the fact that he's coming on the show. And that is, he was contacted today by Legacy Foods, and they said they got such an overwhelming response. So pleased by the response that they got from this hurricane sale that they have extended it. So that is indeed what we have done. They extended it. They wanted them to extend it, so we extended it. Now the 25% off is until midnight on the 31st. So, and the coupon code for that is Hurricane 2018. And of course, that's at Preppernurse1.com. And that, by the way, he's honoring that 25%, not just for the legacy food products, but for all the products, the merchandise as well. So anything on Preppernurse1.com, 25% off until the 31st at midnight. And, of course, the coupon code, as you see, Hurricane 2018. I thought that was, like, really, really cool. So I'm getting ready to do some upgrades on his site as well. I was talking to him today, and, you know, I've been doing this, and I'm still, by the way, trying to figure out whatever I'm going to put on my site, right, on our new website. 6 days left, baby. And, yeah, she's like, oh, what am I supposed to do? All right. Learn web coding. Learn web coding in like 48 hours, and then you've got 4 days to get the site done. How's that sound? Is that fair? Middle fingers in the air. It's not fair, folks. Ooh, 2 middle fingers in the air. Wow. Anyway, so what I'm going to put on his site is, and I'd gotten Prepper Nurse's blessing earlier today to do so. I'm going to add, like we have on our website, we've got documentation like survival type of stuff, prepping type of stuff, and I'm going to put that on his site as well. So that way folks going to Preppernurse1.com will have access to all kinds of PDF documents on whether it be medically related or just simply prepping, bushcraft, survival. A lot of, to be honest, a lot of the same content that we have in the resources on our website. So that will be there. I think it's called, So a lot of the same information like that we have in our resources, he will also have over there on Preppernurse1.com. So I figured that would be a nice thing to add. I also tossed around the idea of putting a forum on his website. That way his website patrons can communicate with one another. So I think that's I think it's a good idea. So we're gonna get that done. We're gonna make that happen. So cool changes coming to his site. Okay, where are we at on YouTube? Well, we're still losers. That's not gonna change. We're we're at $1.22. We actually went up, folks. We are making money now, right? We were $1.14 yesterday. We got up to $1.22 today. We are rocking, right? But I do have something that's kind of sad to show you, to be honest. And this is in relation to yesterday's video. This just to me tells me the world that we live in. Can you see how many views the monologue got from yesterday? 6 views. 6 views. Which supports exactly what I was trying to explain yesterday. That, you know, or one of the parts of it. That, you know, it's one thing. You know, folks that go as far as clicking a button to share a meme. Or, you know, they might even go as far to pay $3 for a magnet to put on the back of their car. Or a bumper sticker or whatever. But when it comes to truly getting their hands dirty and trying to help, not interested. Not interested. Look at it. You see it for yourself. Not interested. Title of the video, Watchman News Monologue, Vet Suicide, Mental Illness, PTSD, How to Really Help. Interesting, isn't it? Sad. I mean, this absolutely, and I know we don't get a lot of views. We're not one of those channels that gets a ton of views, but really? And by the way, YouTube thought it was so offensive, they thought they ought to, demonetize the video, but we get used to that. They do that to a lot of our videos, and then usually about a week later or something, they'll go ahead and add the monetization. And that's, folks, it's a scam. It's a scam, because most people get most of their views, most creators get most of their views, the first day, right, that they put out a video. And so if they can put off them getting anything for that, then basically they've essentially robbed that creator out of most everything that they could have possibly made off of that content. It's a scam. No two ways about it. It's a scam. Now, we don't get enough views or make enough money to raise too much hell as far as losing out. But that's okay, because I'll tell you what, I'm me, and me says that me is not the only person on this planet, right? So I will raise hell for others, and that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm not gonna, that 6 views isn't gonna give me much, as you can tell. So anyway, let's continue on. Let's see. We did go up 1 subscriber. Thank you. Here we are on Steam It, and I already know that we've got a little bit to redeem here. So let me go ahead and do that now. Let me click that. Alright, so we are currently at 11.487 Steam and 6.792 Steam dollars. And I tell you what, I don't know if you're watching Bitcoin, but it's spiking. So it spiked overnight. So over $8,000, $8,400, something like that. So I'm watching closely. I'm watching closely, because of course this I convert into Bitcoin. Like when I'm ready to cash this in, I convert this into Bitcoin, and then I got to convert Bitcoin to SLL, I think it is, and then SLL to USD, and then I can put it in PayPal. So anyway, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to Bitcoin's kind of on its way down, so I'm watching it, and if it reaches like a low point, then I'll go ahead and cash this in. And then what I'll do is keep an eye on it, and if Bitcoin spikes, well, then I'll cash that in too. I'll get it transferred to USD, try and make a little bit of money off of it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's all made money. I mean, every bit of this is money that we're making. But why not try to strategically make a little bit more? You know what I mean? So that's where we are on Steam. We're still not rich. Google AdSense. I was shocked at this. I was like, holy cow. I'm refreshing just to make sure. $4.47 today. That is incredible. That is awesome. So that puts us up to $29.85 for the month. Of course, at the beginning of next month, that $29.85 will go over to the balance, which will easily put us over that halfway point. And once we make it to $100, of course, then they send it to us, and it goes towards the show somehow or another. And wow, that's awesome. And let me explain what that is real quick, just in case there's folks here that don't know. As you could tell, as I showed you, we don't make anything off YouTube. We're setting at, what was it, $1.22 or whatever. We don't make anything off YouTube. But we've got these ads on the website, and all people have to do is click on the ad. They don't have to buy nothing, sign anything up, fill out your email, nothing. Just literally just clicking on the ad puts money in AdSense. And so that is exactly what that is right there. That $4.47 is simply from ad clicks today. So typically I know one individual here that clicks quite a bit, but they just go to the watchmannews.com and they click and bing, and it takes a while. But we're not looking to get rich. We're just we're looking to be able to progress what we're doing and expand what we're doing. That's all we're interested in. We're not interested in becoming rich off of this. Okay, so let's do a little bit of news real quick, and then we'll get to talking. How's that sound? All right. Donald Trump's star this morning was absolutely demolished. Somebody walked up to it with a they had a guitar case, and inside the guitar case they had a pickaxe, and I guess they walked right up to it, opened up the case, pulled out the pickaxe, and went to town on it. I mean, to me it appeared like it's destroyed more than it was the last time that it happened. That a guy dressed up like a city worker and walked up to it with a sledgehammer. And it looks to me like it's in a lot worse shape now than what it was then. And wow, that's just insane. And it's not helping. It is not helping their cause. And that's the thing I don't understand about it. It is not helping their cause. So anyway, let's see. Moving on. This happened locally here in the St. Louis area. Happened to a Potosi, Missouri woman. She's on leave in the Air Force, and it's insane. So she walked into the store with her little sister, pulled in. I assume it's the store in the picture there. And her and her little sister just pulled in, and it was her mistake. She left the keys in the console of the car, left the car unlocked. They were just going to run in for a second. They ran in. She said they ran in. They kind of turned her, picked up whatever, turned around and looked, and her car was gone. Car was gone. And the sad thing is, of course, she's on leave, and so she's here trying to catch up with family and friends and all that. Next week, she's got to be down to Shreveport, Louisiana, to be on base, and now she has no car. So, and again, I get it. She's the one that I can't say the word. She left the keys in the car. Negligent. I can't say it. I can normally say it. I can normally say it. Just say it to yourself. You know the word I'm trying to say. Told you, you're not going to get much professionalism here. So anyway, it's a sad situation. So her phone was in the back seat. Law enforcement has found her phone, but it was apparently thrown out the window or whatever. But it is heavily damaged. It's cracked up really, really bad. So I tweeted it out, and around the St. Louis area, when something horrible like this happens to somebody, a lot of times you see the car dealership will step up and they will say, hey, we got you taken care of, right? And they'll donate a car. And so I tweeted it out, and I said, do we have any mobile device repair place and a car dealership able to help out here, please? Thank you. So I even contacted via Facebook private message somebody I went to school with that is now a car salesman, and gave him the heads up, because it's good publicity for them. So, any of these dealerships that step up and help this young woman out, they've got advertisement like you wouldn't believe on most all the local news stations. So, and you can't get better advertisement than advertisement like that. So, it's kind of one hand washes the other kind of thing. So, man, that's a shame. That's a shame. It's what can you say? It's the world we live in, right? Jet fighter makes an emergency landing at Spirit Airport. This happened, of course, near St. Louis as well. Apparently had a landing gear issue. I'm assuming that the landing gear did not retract because when I seen video of the aircraft on the ground, it was on all three wheels. So I'm pretty certain that it was a matter of the gear didn't retract. And plus, they just took off. It's not like they flew halfway across the country and then all of a sudden had an emergency, declared an emergency. So good thing for that. Good thing. It's much better to have that gear stuck down than stuck up, I'll tell you that much. All right. Explosion hits western Pakistan amid election. At least 28 killed. Houthis target Saudi oil tanker off Yemen's coast. Daesh reportedly claims responsibility for deadly Toronto shooting. BRICS summit kicks off in Johannesburg, South Africa. Israeli warning sirens sound in Golan Heights. That's a monologue from this morning. U.S. sanctions 5 entities linked to alleged Syrian chemical weapons program. I can't speak today. I'm having a problem talking today. I don't know what the deal with that is. Negligent. I did it negligently. That was the word I was looking for. Negligently. It's when I add the "ly" on it. That's giving me the big problem. The "ly." Why is that? You're the English expert here. I'm the wordologist. I just make it up. You have to explain it to everybody else. Don't you love your job? Anyway, this gets me. Right, so here we are again, accusing the Syrians of these chemical weapons, and we've already been down this hole. Okay, we've already been down this hole. We know where the chemicals came from. We know where the different individual chemicals came from. We know where the supplies in general, right? And And now we're beating this path again. It's mind-boggling, right? Absolutely mind-boggling. They will stop at nothing to be at war. It's insane. Absolutely insane. Daesh displays alleged photo of Syrian pilot jet downed by Israel. So, see, Juncker at talks with Trump. EU and US are close partners, not enemies. We'll see. You know, I'm starting to notice, and I know it's always been this way in politics. You know, you've got the public words, and then you've got the private words. You know, and I get that. You know, I get that, but it just seems like really exaggerated now. You know, because for the most part, these countries they can't stand Trump. They absolutely can't stand Trump, and I understand why they can't stand Trump. Right? It's the end of the gravy train. It is the absolute end of the gravy train for these folks. And, you know, they have been, you know, these different countries have been taking advantage of the United States so bad for so long. You know, I can get it, right? I can get it. They're losing at least some of their free ride. And I can get it. I know why they're pissed off. But, you know what? You know, thank you, Trump. You know, that's one thing I will thank Trump for in a heartbeat. I haven't turned into a Trumpster. I'm not a Trump fan. I'm still as wake as I'll ever be. But you know, there are some aspects, even if it's on the surface, to where he puts America first, and right on, right? Because I see the most important factor in that. Him putting America first is giving a voice to those of us that for 8 years had to sit silent, because anytime we tried to say a peep, we got called racist, we got called this, the IRS came after it, you know. And so now we can speak, right? And we can speak somewhat openly, as long as it's not on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You gotta love it, right? You gotta love it. But we can speak now. And that's exactly what's happening. And folks, that is the most important takeaway from all of this. That is the most important part, because you know what? He's just a figurehead. That's it. He is just a figurehead. And you know, Congress is much bigger than just the figurehead, yes. But what's much bigger than Congress? We the people. We the people. So, you know, if we the people get aligned, we can make this country back what it was, which is a hell of a lot better than what it is today. So, but I am convinced that it's getting better, and I believe that we the people are resilient. I believe that we the people are intelligent, and I believe that we will make this right again. I'm not going to I'm not doing the MAGA thing, but we will make this right again. We will. And you know, one way or another, we will. That I'm confident of, because our forefathers were absolutely incredibly genius with how they designed this country. And our forefathers relied on folks like you and I, right? That didn't forget what the Constitution, what the Bill of Rights, what they meant. Okay? And that's what's important. What's important is us, and us remembering that, and us, you know, drawing that line in the sand and saying, no, you know, this is the way this country was founded, and it's going to stay this way. Okay? And we are reaching that point now. And it's, I tell you what, it's pretty beautiful to watch. It really is. It's beautiful to watch. Let's see, Bolton and Trump wants to meet Putin next year after Russia witch hunt is over. And yet, just yesterday, I went over the tweet to where Trump had made the statement that he certainly thinks that Russia is going to try to meddle in the election. I'm like, So which is it? It's like this whole meddling collusion thing is like bipolar, right? It's insane. It's insane. And I agree, this whole Russia thing is a witch hunt. There's no doubt about that it's a witch hunt. But, wow. Pompeo says, U.S. will never recognize Crimea as part of Russia. Now this reminds me of the liberals' tactic. And folks, if you don't know the channel, if you don't know I don't pick sides, okay? I'm not conservative, I'm not liberal, I'm not even libertarian. I won't pick any side because I'm an individual, right? And I believe in individual liberties, okay? Just like our forefathers had founded this country, individual. And if I allow myself to be assigned to any group, well, then that gives people the ample opportunity to automatically have a bunch of preconceived notions about what I stand for. And I don't want some group muddying up what it is that I stand for, because I'm an individual, right? And I'm special. I'm a snowflake. My mommy told me no, we won't go there. Anyway, no, my mom did. She told me I was special. I was a snowflake right before she knocked me off the porch. She's ignoring me now. But yeah, it is. It's just one of those things. I'm not going to assign myself to any group, and that goes for religion as well. No way. No way, considering that I look at all the different religions that I've ever researched in my life, and it's like, none of them got it right. So, you know, what am I going to do? Sit there and say, well, this is the lessest. I'm going to make up a word. You're going to have to explain it. That's your job. I make the words, you explain them. This is the lessest evil that there is. Well, there's more than two evils, though, in religion. There's like a million of them. So, you know, but the thing is, it's it's the lesser of all of the evils. There, believe it or not, I just prevented, you know, the loss of life of myself. Although it's probably going to take some more candy bars. Anyway, we'll deal with that in a moment. By the way, if you're new, you don't know who I'm talking to. I'm speaking with Gangsta Giggles, my lovely partner here, and and it can be a riot sometimes. It can be fun. So anyway, let me get back to what I was saying. I got way off track. You see how that happens? So anyway, Pompeo says U.S. will never recognize Crimea as part of Russia. So that makes me wonder. That makes me wonder if now the conservatives are going to take the liberal tactic and say, not my Crimea, right? Not my Crimea. Hashtag. Don't forget the hashtag, right? Not my Crimea. Wow. I believe that it's up to Russia and Crimea to make that decision. Thank you. Israeli army hit launcher in Syria, which fired 2 rockets over the border, IDF says. EU agrees to buy more U.S. soy, import more liquefied gas, says Trump. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. There is one thing that I am pretty certain of, and that's that Trump is trying to get a fair deal when it comes to trade. And I am pretty certain of that. I really, really am. Oh, let's see. Well, that covers the news stuff. I guess we can pull this up in the background here while we await. And I don't know what just fell, but it wasn't the sky, so we're still good. All right. Wow. I'm a little tired. I don't know why, but let me get screens moved around here so that I can actually see the chat over there. I do believe I've got everything set up for Preppernurse1, so all I have to do when it's time to call him in is call him in, dial him in. So I haven't seen his video today. He said he was going to mention coming on, and so I assume that he did. I haven't seen a whole lot of videos today. I did, however, I watched a sustenance and covering video, and he was having an interview, or let's see, he was interviewing them, I do believe, in that video, and a new channel. That channel, I think it's called Deep South Homestead. Let me confirm that here. I believe it was Deep South Homestead. And wow, I checked them out. I only had a chance to watch one of their videos, and I was just so floored about how awesome it was. I'm scrolling. Yeah, Deep South Homestead, absolutely incredible. The video that he had done, and he does these like porch talks, right? And that's the only video I got to see was his latest porch talk, and I was just absolutely impressed with it. So, wow. But anyway, I always try to find good stuff, and definitely a winner there. Let me pull back up over to here. Wow, but yeah, I think we've got everything set up here, and let's see. I was just looking over there on chat over there in DLive. Evil, thanks for keeping up over there. That's I guess I could mention that too. We blast out currently on 3 platforms. I will be adding more platforms as time goes by. Right now we are on a platform called DLive, which is an absolutely incredible platform over there. Zero censorship, absolutely zero censorship over there on DLive. And DLive is actually they're associated with Steemit, so maybe I should say that. But DLive is associated with Steemit, so we blast an HD stream over to DLive. We blast an HD stream to Facebook, and of course here on YouTube. So we blast out to 3 platforms, and I'm probably going to be adding a 4th and maybe 5th. So I'm looking at maybe going out over Periscope as well. So that's probably going to be a near future thing. Let me probably about 10 minutes in, I'll send him a message and make sure that he's good over there. Wow. Let's see here. Just kind of checking through everything, making sure that there's not anything super important. Not seeing anything. Do we, it seemed like I had another bit of news to pass on, and I can't remember when it comes to us. I cannot remember off the top of my head what that was. Don't know. Can you? Don't we have something, I don't know, I thought we had some kind of news, good news. I don't remember, am I just lost my mind, maybe? I don't know. It was something. I don't think it was that big of a deal, but I thought it was something new. Anyway, I don't think so. For those that aren't used to the channel, we do have a new website coming at the end of the month. Right now, there's not a whole lot there. I'm actually building it in the background. When you go to the watchmannews.com right now, you don't go to the website that I'm working on. You go to our old website. So, but I'm working on a new website, and it will be done. It will be done by the end of the month because I have no choice. And it's being hosted right here in our home. I was about to say on the same computer you hear me from, but that's not true. But it's being hosted from right here, which is actually going to give me the ability to do a lot more than what I could using a shared hosting provider. So, and we're not like we're not rich enough to be able to afford a dedicated server out there in Never Never Land because those are quite expensive. So we're operating a dedicated server from right here in the home. And that will be, well, it's already live now. We do have, I take care of 4 websites. We have 3 websites, and 2 of them are already switched over to this server. The news website's the last one that I have to get over here, and I'm currently building it. So that is going to be some cool, interesting news. There's a really cool chat room over there that allows you to send files to one another, allows you to video chat with one another, audio chat with one another, all kinds of cool features just in the chat alone. And we'll be adding a bunch of stuff to the site. So looking forward to that. Trying to think of anything else that I can let folks know about what we do, what we stand for. Truth is the most important thing that I could put out there as far as what we do. And that, like I've said before, is oftentimes an uncomfortable thing, because we all, we all tend to kind of want to pick a side with things, and then, at the same time, we want to ignore anything bad about that particular side and just push everything good. And sadly, the way reality works is we have to look at all of it. And so that's what we do. We look at all of it. We don't just cater to one side or the other, and we don't put out a bunch of stuff, that's even fringe true. You know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff that gets exaggerated these days, and we try not to be a part of that. So let's see. I'm just trying to look. I just got notification. I'm waiting for it to load. Big day. U.S. and EU to develop a zero tariff trade agreement. That's definitely interesting, but that's not what just came out. That was prior. Hang on, I'm tweeting these out as I speak. Let's see. Here's the one that just came out. Russian military in Syria thanks Israel for striking Daesh positions in, and I can't pronounce that, Kunitra, something like that. I don't know how to pronounce that. Just kind of make up your own. Doesn't matter. We're so professional. Let's see here. I try to keep up on that stuff throughout the show. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. All right. Looks like we got about 12 minutes. What's old news? Let me send him a message while Aaron's answering what is old news. Oh, this weekend, here's a little bit of the Watchman news. That was cute. That was cute. Did you see those? Oh, okay. Well, look outside. Oh, can you not see them? Oh, that sucks. They're cute. Anyway, doggos going by out front. So, let's see. Now, what was I going to say? See, it was the dog's fault. Oh, yeah, that is like beyond old news. I've lost my mind. I think I lost my mind before I even had it. Now what was I gonna say though? There was something that, oh yeah. This weekend I should be making a video as long as everything goes well on vaping and SHTF. So. I think that will be an interesting video. I've talked about it several times in the show, but as I recall, I don't think I've ever made really a dedicated video to it. And if I have made a video, I'd have to go look. But if I have made a video, it's probably pretty short. And, so this weekend I'm going to work on a video on vaping and SHTF. And so I think it's going to, I think it's going to be a good video. I'm going to go into some detail on it. I'm going to go into some cost analysis type of stuff and explain to folks why it's a good idea to get involved even if they don't smoke or vape or anything like that. Because I'm telling you right now, you want to talk about a heck of a barter item. If you can provide nicotine, if you can provide alcohol, holy cow, right? You're going to be like the king of your community. If you can provide a long-standing supply of that stuff. And vaping allows you to be able to use relatively a small amount of space and provide nicotine to like tons and tons of people for a pretty long period of time. And then, of course, vaping uses electric, to be able to get the nicotine, to intake the nicotine. Sorry, I know I'm fumbling over words. And, it's easy to charge batteries with solar or whatever you may have as far as like alternative type of energy or backup energy. And so, there you go again. If you've got a solar setup to where you can recharge batteries for folks, not only can you barter, charging their batteries, but you can barter making e-juice, and they use coils. You can barter for coils. You can, it's pretty incredible, and it's really cheap to be able to do right now anyway. So I think it's a ideal way, and if you do happen to be addicted to the nicotine monkey like myself, then it's also a healthier way. And I know there's going to be a lot of arguing on that, but I could care less. I've been involved in vaping for a long time, since it came to this country, and I tell you what, I know a hell of a lot of people that are a lot more better off today health-wise because they quit smoking and started vaping, and they still vape, right? And they're doing so much better. And so I'm not going to let the FDA scare me away, all because they work for Big Tobacco, and they're trying to funnel that money back to Big Tobacco. That's the truth, folks, as to why you hear all the negativity about vaping, is because it comes down to Big Tobacco. So, and it is what it is. But anyway, I'm going to be working on a video for that this weekend. And I think that's going to turn out to be a really, really good video. I was going to try and shoot some of it, shoot it this morning. And I thought, you know what? No, I'm not going to make this a short video. I'm actually going to put some effort into this and make it a good video, because I want folks to understand where I'm coming from on this. Let me see here. I am going to real quick send him a message and let him know. That way he knows that, I'm going to be calling shortly. Hopefully everything goes okay. Like I said, I've already got, on the other end of things, I've already got it going. Let me, hang on here. I know this is totally professional, but it's kind of hard to do. I have to call into my own show. And the reason why is because if I don't do this and I unmute it, you're going to get the most horrible elevator music you could ever imagine. Good deal. Good deal. All right. So now I'm on there. I do believe. Yep, I am. That way you won't have any crazy sounding music when I already unmuted it, but that way you won't have any crazy sounding music. Just checking over everything. Sorry for the dead air. Like I say, hopefully this works. I'm not used to using the, on Skype, I'm not used to using their Windows 10 app. I'm used to using the regular software install, and so kind of a little bit different. But we'll manage. We'll be all right. Good deal. Got the word from Preppernurse1 that he is ready. So we'll blow off a few minutes. I would bring him on a little bit earlier, but I don't want the folks that are going to tune in specifically when he comes on to miss anything. So otherwise, I would just go ahead and dial him in now. I guess maybe sometimes I do try to add a little bit of professionalism to it. Just a touch. But that's probably to throw people off more than anything. It's like, what? Wait, he tried? Huh? Fun. Oh, wow. Another doggo outside. I don't know what kind that is, but it's a good-looking dog. It looked kind of like, what are those greyhound? Racing kind of dog? Like a real sleek-looking dog. All right. Okay, I think we'll go ahead and bring him in a little bit early. I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference. Let me just make sure that I've got everything set. Trying to avoid either one of us having issues. And we'll try to dial him in. Can I get some dialing music, please? All right, add people to the call. Right. Let's see. Uh-huh. Okay, let me go ahead and bring him in now. I'm not hearing a ringing, so are you there? Well, this is interesting. If you can hear me, Prepper Nurse, just type a bunch of gibberish in Facebook or something. If I've actually got you on the phone. But I'm not getting any audio outside of, not hearing anything. And I should be. Okay, get ready for a little bit of annoying, well, yeah, get ready for a little bit of annoying music. Okay, so that is working. Let me call back in to get rid of that music. The only way I can do this. Okay, that ought to get rid of the annoying music. Can you hear me, Ed? I don't know that we've actually got him on the line. So let me let me try this again. Oh, not on this call. Okay. Hang on here. So actually it was on my end. Give me one moment, folks. I'll get this. Again, I'm not used to this, the way that Skype is. I am absolutely not used to it. I don't think it dialed him. I think it's what happened. I don't think it dialed him. Yeah, and see that took me out of there. Okay, let me dial him in first, and then we'll dial back in the. This is strange, but I'll dial him in first. Now I know it's calling him.
Hello?
Howdy.
Hey, how we doing?
How are you doing? Having a few technical difficulties, but we're here.
Uh,
How are you doing? Did I lose you? Okay. I lost him. Let me dial back here.
try again?
Right, exactly.
All of a sudden you were there and then you were gone. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I just got a dial tone. You were speaking, and it just all of a sudden it cut you off, and I didn't hear anything else until I got the dial tone.
Oh, that's weird.
Yep. So I'd like to introduce Preppernurse1. I've been looking so forward to today, and thank you for coming on the show again.
Hey, not a problem. Anytime. You know that.
Right on. During our monologue, I did mention the extension of the sale today, so I thought that was absolutely incredible news.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
During our monologue, I mentioned the extension of the sale today. I thought that was pretty incredible news.
Yeah, it was funny because it's like, just had it taken down last night, and then I get an email today that they decided to extend the sale because I guess it was pretty popular and it was doing very well, so they extended it to the end of the month, so that's not a bad thing. So anybody that didn't get a chance to take advantage of it and still wants to, they now can, which is great.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So the topic is EMP, right?
EMP, and we did talk a little bit. I actually talked a little bit today in my video as well, that if anybody had any questions on, autism or anything like that, that they could be, feel free to, talk about that as well, because anybody that's been watching my channel for any length of time knows that my son has autism.
Right on. And I had spoke to you the other day, and I had mentioned that you had some questions about that. And I guess we could probably we could start out with that, actually, if you like.
Whatever way you want to do it, that's fine.
She's already got those, so I figured we'd knock them out. I can't see your screen, no?
What's
okay, that? The first one is what are your thoughts of the vaccinations that they are giving kids now?
I'll be honest with you. If I had a child that needed to have vaccinations, they pile everything up at once. And you can do it this way. I think it's important that we should vaccinate our children, yes, but the way that they give them like 30 different things all at once, and the reason that they do that is because they're not sure if you're going to bring your kid back, okay? But if you can stretch it out over a 6-month to a year period and give that child vaccinations that way, I think that's the way to do it. Because I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of doctors do it that way with their own children. They don't give them everything all at once. And I think that there is a direct link between the shots and autism. That's my opinion. It's based on my own personal experience with my child. Eddie was a very normal, happy, healthy 2-year-old, had actually already started talking before his sister, was very engaging. And when they went and got their shots at 2 years old, it was like somebody turned a light switch off. And we noticed the difference in him, and we took him in to be tested, and he was diagnosed at 2.5 with autism. And I personally believe that that's exactly why my son has autism, is because of the shots.
Correct. And I kind of, I know the answers to this stuff already, but that's okay. Not everybody else does. Have you ever read the ingredients of what's in the vaccines?
You know what? Ahead of time, I did not, because I'm just like I was a first-time parent, and they said that you have to have your kids get these shots at 2, and I'm like, yeah, okay, you put trust in people, that are there supposedly to help and take care of your children, and so I did not ahead of time, not at all.
Right on. And of course, she pulled the questions down. There was one other question that he had for you. One second here. Oh, okay, yeah. I see how bad my memory is anymore. He was wondering if you were aware that health professionals now have to take vaccinations, and what you feel about that. What do you think about that?
Well, I know that with being in the nursing field and working in the nursing homes and stuff like that, that's they don't call it mandatory. That you we'll use a flu shot as the example, okay? They don't say that it's mandatory that you have to have the flu shot, but if you don't get the flu shot, you're penalized. You have to wear a mask at all times while you're working. And my thing for that was, and I said to them, I said, well, wait a minute. If you're basically now, and here's the thing is, the residents of the nursing home have the option, either they can get it or they don't, okay? So I said, if all the residents have already had the shot, why should I have to wear a mask if I don't have the shots or showing any signs or symptoms of the flu? So I know that they were really pushing everybody to get this flu shot, and I'll tell you what, I did get it last year, and just because of the fact that I didn't want to have to wear a mask, and my children have never had the flu shot. I will tell you that. And the only reason I did it was because of work, but I had never planned on getting another flu shot again. I'm not going to let them put things in my body. I know that, I don't know if anybody knows this, there's actually formaldehyde in the flu shot, and there's also, I'm trying to think here, mercury in the flu shot as well. And one thing our body does not process is mercury. So whatever mercury you're taking in, even though it's a small amount, it's always in your body. It never leaves. So I just, I personally would never, I have no intention of ever getting the flu shot again.
Right on, right on. Now I know here, or at least around here, they don't have a choice. Healthcare professionals, they either get the vaccines or that's it. They can no longer work in the field. I don't think they have the option of wearing the mask here.
Well, that's the way it is here in New York.
Right on, right on. All right, let me real quick take a second and redial in the phone line because I had to actually disconnect the call-in line to be able to call you for some strange reason. Let me get that brought back in, and that way people can call in as they please.
Okay.
This shouldn't take long as soon as I get everything up here. Yeah, it's Skype has made quite a few changes, and on top of that, I'm using. I'm using something that I don't normally use, so. I'm using the app, you know, the what do you call it? The Skype app for Windows 10 instead of the actual software program.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not a real big fan of it, I must say. So, how have you been? What have you been doing today?
Well, today it rained pretty much straight until 11 o'clock this morning. And then early this afternoon, the kids and I came out, and I had split that huge pile of, of the wood. So we started stacking that today. And the temperatures were actually not bad today. They were in the 70s, which you think, okay, that's fantastic. But the humidity is like 100%. So we got a good amount of it done, but it was, I mean, all three of us were completely soaked in sweat because of it. So, but it, you know what, it was a good thing because I know a lot of people had mentioned in comments already in the video that I just put up today, oh, well, that's why you do that in the fall. Well, I had my wood delivered now. I'm not going to let my wood sit around on the ground for 4 months until the fall gets here and then starts, doing it. I'm going to get it knocked out, get it stacked, and then it'll actually be that much drier and that much better by the time winter comes. So, just that project that's right there right now, and we're going to, work on it over the next few days as long as the weather permits, and get it squared away.
I can understand that. Okay, let me dial this in here real quick.
This service is provided in high definition by freeconferencecallhd.com. Please enter your access code followed by the pound or hash sign.
Is that you or me?
That's me.
Please enter your access code followed by the pound or hash sign. Please enter your access code followed by the pound or hash sign.
It.
What's that?
Not recognizing the code.
You exceeded number of attempts. Please contact customer service if you need assistance. Goodbye.
Well then.
Well, I guess that didn't work.
At least they're pleasant about it.
Yes, very pleasant.
I'll tell you what. Here is what I'm going to do real quick. Hopefully it's okay with you. I am going to. You're probably not at your computer, are you?
No, I'm not. No.
Okay, you outside?
Yes. Well, you want to be able to hear me, so.
Right. Let me give this a shot one more time.
Okay.
I think Skype might be changing some things up a little bit and making this process a little bit harder than what it used to be. That's interesting.
Not working?
Yeah, that time it didn't even add it to the call. Let me, oh, it says it's there. I just didn't hear anything. Aha, I gotta hang it up first, that's why. Interesting.
This service is provided in high definition by freeconferencecallhd.com. Please enter your access code followed by the pound or hash sign. Please enter your access code followed by the pound or hash sign.
Yeah, see, it won't let me, you know how it normally lets you
Please enter your
use
access code
pad.
followed by the pound or hash sign.
Oh, that's weird.
You exceeded number of attempts.
Huh.
Please contact customer service if you need assistance.
We've got another way around this. Let me do this. Let me call into the call center, and what I will do is I will give you the phone number to call. Let me do that before we disconnect with you now. I'm going to send you a text real quick while we're talking. And
okay.
And what will happen is you'll just be calling in like anybody else would. So that's why I asked if you were at your computer. Was going to just copy and paste it to you real quick. Okay, there you go. There you are anyway. Okay, let me throw this in here. And there's a, as you could hear, there's a participation code that you have to put in. And I'll be giving you that as well.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I will be installing the Skype software, I can tell you that much. Because it doesn't have this issue. Okay, I sent that to you. So let me go ahead and hang up here from you, and I will get that called into, and as soon as you get called in, we'll be right back in business.
All right, so I have to call that number and then put in that code?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm going to have to go in and write this down and then call it back then.
Okay, sorry about that.
Oh, that's all right.
Okay, we'll talk to you in just a bit.
I'll be back in a few minutes then.
Okay. Alrighty, let me do this real quick. Sorry about this, folks. I don't really know what the deal is here. Kind of strange. The last time we had Rogue Preparedness on, and I didn't have this issue at all, so kind of interesting.
This service is provided. Access code accepted. You are the only participant in the conference.
Okay, there's that lovely music again. Alrighty, folks, it is, I do have the line up, and as soon as I see him pop up on there, we will get him back in here. That is the number that you see on your screen, and I will read it for the folks that may not be able to see it for whatever reason that may be. It's area code 712-770-5311, and there's a participant code that it asks you for once you get on the line, and that code is 474030. So again, the phone number is area code 712-770-5311, and the participant code is 474030. So that is how you get connected with us here on the call line, and I do see that he is here. So let me get his Let me get his mic unmuted. Oop, actually, I think I muted it. And, oh, no, never mind. Hang on 1 second, Preppernurse. There you go. Now we can hear you.
Okay, can you hear me all right?
Yep, you're there. You're good.
All right, good.
All participants are muted.
And then I turned around and muted you.
Unmuted, okay.
Sorry about that. It's the way you got to set up the back end, and since I disconnected from it and reconnected, I had to reset it back up.
Oh, okay, no problem.
Okay, so, wow. So, 21 minutes in, we finally got set up to where we can take calls and get on topic. How's that?
Didn't we do this last time, too?
I don't think so. Not this.
No, we were having issues with something, I think.
Yeah, see, it happens. Now, the last time we had somebody on the show, it was Rogue Preparedness, and while she was on the show, right as she was coming on the show, we had a really insane thunderstorm come through. The only time I'd ever heard them set the sirens off, the tornado sirens, 3 different times. I've never heard them do that before. And we lost power and everything. It was absolutely insane, but we got through it.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah. So, okay, so let's, unless you've got something off the top of your head before we kind of get on EMP, do you have anything else, anything new?
Not really off the top of my head, no.
Okay. Okay, then I guess we'll jump right on. The phone line's already open, folks, so at any time that you want to call in, I am monitoring the phone lines. Other than that, let's get started. Let's get your thoughts on EMP. Okay,
well, an EMP, that is a real possibility of happening in this country. I mean, a real possibility. I think I might have talked about this a little bit before, either on video or on your channel before. But there was an incident that happened a couple of years ago out in California where somebody had gone to a substation, which basically is where they have all the transformers and stuff like that, surrounded by a fence. But if you're standing outside the fence, you have easy access to it. Well, they took and they shot up this whole substation for 20 minutes. They sat there for 20 minutes and shot up the substation, and the power had to be averted through other substations to keep everybody online, and they were able to do that, okay? Now, number one, they never caught who did it, number one. And number two, my thought was if it was a coordinated attack and they attacked, let's say 8 to 10 substations all at the same time, you could have a very serious problem in a grid-down situation. So it necessarily, so that's just a domestic attack. So with an EMP, if it was a purposeful attack with an EMP, you're talking about a situation that would be catastrophic for this country and for a lot of people in the country.
Oh, I agree. I agree with you totally. And it's something that can happen so quick. And I know that the statistics say, I think the official statistics that I've read is that 70% of the population will die within the first year, although I think that's extremely conservative. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, I believe that's very conservative. When you have, here's the thing, is let's even go back 100 years, okay, to 1918. You had so many more people that were self-sufficient, that grew their own gardens, that mended their own clothes, that had all the different skill sets that we do not have anymore 100 years later. And so when you don't have those skills and you don't know what to do in a situation without, walking up to your ATM and pulling your money out and going to the grocery store and swiping your card and instantly having what you want, we're so spoiled in that aspect now that I think that so many people would panic. Here's another thing to remember. Like my children's generation have never not grown up with electronics. So they've always had cell phones. They've always had, computers and laptops and everything else. So they don't know life without that. So the initial shock of something like that, with not being able to just grab the phone and Google whatever you're looking to do, you know, they're going to be completely lost if they don't have any kind of groundedness in some basic skills to start out with. And like I said, unfortunately, that older generation, they're all dying off, and they don't, you know, those skills are not being passed down, unfortunately, because a lot of the younger people could care less.
I agree with you totally on that. And, you know, one of the things that I try to get folks to understand, because this is one of the larger threats that I see, that's a byproduct, if you will, of EMP, is that it's not going to take long before, like, fuel, the line of fuel is going to get interrupted. And once that happens, you're not going to have, you know, of course, in EMP, let's say even if your vehicle survives, you're not going to be able to get the fuel for it to be able to be able to drive. It's not going to take long before that starts to cause problems with our food supply. And so I always try to get folks to understand that that's where the importance is of prepping, because it's not going to take long. It's going to take a very, very short amount of time before anything and everything useful in our stores is going to be gone. The stores are going to be looted. They're going to be burned. They're going to, which brings me my question for you. How long do you think it's going to be from the time that an EMP hits till the chaos starts?
Okay, so I've talked about this several times, and I believe, and this is my opinion only. I believe that once, let's say an EMP strikes, okay, there's going to be a lot of chaos to begin with. People are going to be confused. They're going to be waiting around for somebody to tell them what's going on, okay? So especially the unprepared that have no knowledge of any of these things, that don't want to know anything and stuff like that. So they're basically going to be sitting around waiting to hear what they should do and how they should do it. Anybody that is prepared, in my opinion, you have a 72-hour window, if you're lucky, okay, to get to where you want to be. Either if you plan on bugging in, if you plan on bugging out, you have, in my opinion, probably less than 72 hours to get to where you want to be. And you better get there as quickly as you possibly can at the first sign of trouble, because after that, you might as well forget about it, because you're not going to be able to go anywhere. Small towns around this country will lock down. They'll barricade themselves in just for self-preservation, okay? And so, you know, your people in the cities, most people in the cities will not travel away from the city. Now, there's been a lot of talk of the Golden Horde migrating out and going into suburbia and then the country and taking whatever they want and just eating up the resources as they go. I think that's a fallacy, and I'm going to tell you why. Most people are going to stay within a 20-mile radius of where they're comfortable, where they're familiar, what they know. And by the time that people realize that it's too late, or it'll be too late to get anyplace else, you know, that's going to be the reality of it. So, you know, I believe, like I said, it'll be about 72 hours if you're lucky. The sooner you can get to where you want to be, the better off you will be. Now, luckily for me, I read a book way back many, many years ago, and it was a guy that was a consultant actually for the government on, you know, EMPs and being prepared in the whole 9 yards. And the biggest thing that stuck in my mind that he said in this book, and there was a lot of great information in this book, but the biggest thing that he said in this book that really resonated with me, and this is why I am where I am now and doing what I'm doing, he said, if you can live at your retreat full-time, he said, do it. He said, because number one, all of your things are already in place. If you have to bug out, you're going to get one trip. Let's say, you know, your cars are still working. You're going to get one trip to get to where you want to be if you have a bug-out location. And so the amount of stuff that you would end up leaving behind would be astronomical, okay? But it wouldn't be safe to go back and get it after you've already gone once. There's not going to be time for that second and third trip. So with living on your retreat, Everything is in place, and then you just act. You don't have to worry about reacting.
Right, I agree totally with you there, and there's two comments that I want to make. One of them I kind of lost my train of thought a while ago when I was talking about how the fuel lines are going to be interrupted and the food lines are going to be interrupted. There was an important point that I had missed with that, and that was the fact that and I'm losing it again. Wow, I don't know what is wrong with my mind today. Oh, now I know. It's that a lot of people, and I think you might have said something to this about going back to old ways and whatnot. And that's not so simple, folks, because the problem is we don't have the amount of horses trained to do, and I'm just speaking like food, for instance, to be able to work the fields. We don't have the horses trained for that anymore. Humans aren't trained to even be able to train the horses for that anymore. And humans aren't trained to be able to use the horses for that purpose anymore. And I know there are some out there that are. Don't get me wrong. Like, look at the Amish, for instance. But the problem is you can't expect the Amish to feed the entire country.
Right, and they're not going to.
No, and that's why, and that's one of the reasons why I push consistently on wood gasification and learning and understanding about wood gasification. And if people get a head start on building their own wood gasifier, maybe it can be not so rough of a transition to be able to get everything switched over so we can get those iron beasts running again, so we can provide food again.
Well, and the thing is, too, I think what a lot of people fail to realize, too, with putting any kind of plans that you have into practice ahead of time, you're going to be able to fine-tune and hone what you do right, what you do wrong. So learning how to do things and then putting it into practical practice is so huge. And the great example for us up here at the homestead, we've been here, it was 3 years in June, was my solar system. I mean, we started out, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, 12-volt system's going to be fine and we're going to be good. We found out really, really quickly that was not going to be the case and that was not going to be effective. And so I had a lot of help, with I spoke with Bill and Rosa from Bill and Rosa Off-Grid, and he gave me a tremendous amount of advice because he's been living off-grid, and it's somebody that had been doing it, so he knew what he was talking about, and he gave me some advice. And I listened to him. And the reason that I listened to him was because he knew what he was talking about, And so, you develop that skill and you find out what's going to work and what's not going to work. And then, you kind of go from there. So if I had all my components ahead of time and said, okay, this is going to work fine, and I'll just keep everything packed away until I need it, well, that's too late at that point. You have to learn, and I'm just using the solar as an example, but it can be gardening. Gardening is a huge thing, If you don't know how to garden, you're just not going to be able to put seeds in the ground and they're going to grow and you're going to get produce out of that. It doesn't work that way. You have to develop those skills, find out what works, find out what doesn't work. Getting your seeds going early, in a greenhouse if you can. And all those things really are going to play into how well you're going to survive in an EMP event. Here's the biggest thing that I would want to really put out to people and I think it'll probably be an EMP event or something to that, coronal mass ejection from the sun that causes the grid to go down, or some kind of terrorist attack that causes the grid to go down. Anything that's going to interrupt the power for any extended period of time is going to be a catastrophic event in this country. So my biggest thing, what I would say to people is, you want to try to keep things as normal as possible. Now, how do you do that? Well, you learn how to, be able to have that water flowing, and either with having a water tank higher up at a higher elevation, and having that water come down through pipes and stuff like that, and you're going to get a natural flow and have water. And those type of things, just learning how to do different things so that the transition from modern society as we know now back to, say, 1800, without any kind of, no time for learning, that's going to be tough. So trying to figure out everything that you possibly can ahead of time that's going to help you in that situation. And like you said, like with a gasifier, that's a great example of using something that's going to help us to survive whatever situation we're going to be into. You know, if you can have animals on site, be it chickens, pigs, ducks, rabbits, you know, whatever you're into, you know, that's going to help you as well. You know, because like I said, if having those fresh eggs every day, that's going to make a big difference. Now, realistically, how much feed can you store on hand? You know what I mean? So those are things you got to realize too. I mean, so having, you know, 100 chickens, well, if you don't have the feed to feed that 100 chickens, you're not going to have 100 chickens long. You know, so those are things to think about too. So if you have 6 to 8 or 12 chickens, and you have enough of a supply of food, and like in the summertime, you can actually just let them go ahead and free range, and they're going to feed on, you know, the normal stuff. That's going to help you, you know. But those are things that people need to think about and learn how to deal with chickens and the issues you're going to have with chickens, with mites and you know, and fleas and whatever else is going to be affecting that. Learn those things now while there's still time is so important that I think a lot of people don't think about that.
Oh, exactly. I agree. And you know, we had brought that up and mentioned that the last time you were on. And it was kind of funny because here you were on the show and we were discussing that. We were talking about that, practicing with your preps now. Don't wait. And I was actually sitting here while we were on the show together, sitting here with my Vaseline coated cotton balls and my ferro rod trying to light the house on fire.
I'll tell you what, and that's a great thing. Like I said, that's another thing, you know. Glean as much information as you can. You know, if you can put it, you know, in a zip drive or whatever, as long as you know that you're going to be able to charge up that laptop, even if there's an EMP, if you have it, you know, a Faraday cage or stuff like that, or just have, you know, information on paper. I mean, books are so huge that I think a lot of people lose sight of the fact of having things in hardcover. It's just, you know, you don't have to worry about if there's an EMP if you have something in hardcover. You just basically, there's the book and there's the knowledge. And like I said, but again, having the book and having the knowledge is fantastic, but putting that into practical practice and learning those skills and learning what works and what doesn't work, that's important as well.
I agree. And since we're on this particular part of the topic, I want to let folks know I had spoke with you about it earlier today. Got your blessings. I'm going to be putting on Preppernurse1's website, if I can get it out right. I'm going to be putting on their documentation for everybody to download or read at their leisure, and it's going to include all kinds of information from medical information, just any kind of bushcraft, prepping, survival, all the kind of information that I can come across related. We've got a resource page on the watchmannews.com. I'm going to essentially be copying that resource page over to Preppernurse1's website, and then that way people will be able to get a hold of that information. Now, there's another thing that I'm intending to do too. I have close to somewhere around 800 books in my library for their EPUBs. I've got them both. I've got them in Mobi format for Kindle. I've also got them in EPUB format. And what I'm going to do, and I can do it on your site as well, is I'm going to put all those books into one file, and I'm going to put that zip file on the website, and that way people can, at their leisure, just download one file and have absolutely every bit of that information in one shot, and for nothing. Because I've seen this done before. I've seen many different websites that you can go and you can send them $20 or whatever, and they'll send you a flash drive. No, folks, it's not going to cost you nothing. Totally free. Go there, get the information. Knowledge should not cost you money, especially when it comes to saving your life. And
that's fantastic, and thank you for doing that.
You're welcome.
And I will say to anybody out there that's listening, when you download that zip file, open it up, pick one topic to start out with. Don't overwhelm yourself. Pick one topic to start out with, and then do it. You know, if it's canning or whatever the topic is, do it. Physically do it and learn that skill. And then move on to the next thing.
I agree. I agree totally. And then once in a while, go back to your prior skills and brush up on it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep. And I'll remind people, too, the phone lines are open. I've got the screen up top where I can actually take them in. So anybody that wants to call in with any questions, the phone lines are open. That number is on the screen. I'll read it for those that may not be able to read the number. It's area code 712-770-5311. When you dial that number, it's going to ask you for a participant code. That code is 474030. And I'll repeat that real quick. Area code 712-770-5311. And the participant code is 474030. I don't know why, but today I cannot speak at all.
Oh, it happens. We have those days.
So yeah, let's see. What do you have just any like random thoughts about EMP?
Like I said, an EMP would be the biggest thing that would scare me, because it would be, maybe not even just United States wise, it could be globally. And I think a lot of people don't realize, like, I know that, like hospitals have, backup generators and all those type of things. But if we have an EMP, that's not even going to work at all anyway. But if it's a grid down situation, kind of, they kind of go hand in hand in a way. But if we had a grid down situation, those hospitals are going to have enough fuel for about 72 hours. Okay. And after that, that's going to be it. So if you have people that are compromised, anybody that, and think, what I want people to think about is the numbers here for a second. Let's think about the number of people that are on dialysis. Let's think about the number of people that are on, some form of a cancer treatment, be it radiation or chemotherapy and stuff like that, okay? Think about the number of people that are, insulin-dependent diabetics. Think about the number of people that are hemophiliacs out there that rely on those blood transfusions to live. Think about the people out there that are on ventilators, that are, all those different machines that are keeping a lot of people alive. Once those things all stop, guys, you're talking about a tremendous amount of people that are going to pass away rather quickly, unfortunately, because of that situation. And so, those are things to think about. So if you fall into one of those categories, and there's something that you can do to help, continue your life longer, I would say actively pursue anything that you can do that's going to help you do that, okay? And, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. I don't know if a lot of people have heard that before, but if you can get yourself into a healthier lifestyle, and, and I'm going to tell you what, anybody that knows me and seen my channel and knows who I am, I'm overweight. I'll be the first to admit it, okay? I could absolutely easily lose 30 pounds, and it would probably be a really good thing. And, I'm, much more active this year than I have been in the past, and we've got a lot more things done. But, I still need to drop weight. So, but that's a battle a lot of us face. There's a lot of people that need to do something like that. The time to try to lose weight is not after SHTF happens. A time to lose weight is now while you still can. So I think that that's important too. Your health, is really important. Now, there's going to be people that say, and I've seen this argument before as well, well, I'm going to tell you what, if you eat right and you exercise, at the end of the day, you're still going to die anyway. Well, yeah, you are. But you know what? Why would you want to have yourself in a situation where you're going to have that heart attack if you don't need to have that heart attack? Why would you want to have, diabetes that if it's, that could be just taken care of by diet and exercise? Take care of those things, It's easy to do nothing, because believe me, look at all the people out there doing absolutely nothing. So to be able to get out there, do the things that are necessary to help yourself, it's one of the things that I probably want to say more than anything else. Help yourselves, guys. Put yourself in a situation where you have the advantage. And, even with a 2-week supply of food and water, you give yourself an advantage over 95% of the people. Now, I'm going to tell you what. To me, it's crazy not to take those odds. if you're going to give yourself that much of an advantage by doing a small amount, and I don't care how poor you are, anybody can put away a 2-week supply of food and water. I don't care who you are. You know, I don't want to hear any excuses or anything like that. Anybody can do it. Anybody, you know. Put down the cigarette, stop smoking, don't drink the beer, leave the drugs alone, and do something positive with that money. You know, I mean, and I'm not trying to be judgmental, but I'm going to tell you what, through my life, I've dealt with so many people, and, you know, hearing the stories of people that are more impoverished, they always have money for 3 things: alcohol, drugs, and cigarettes. It's amazing to me. They don't have money for anything else, but they have money for those 3 things. And I'm not saying everybody, guys, so please don't hammer me on that. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying I've seen it over and over and over again, people that cry poor, but yet have money for those other things. Instead of going to McDonald's once a week and spending $20 at McDonald's, take that money and invest it into something positive, you know? So that would be the advice that I would try to give people. And like I said, you know, I mean, give yourself that edge. Get the skills, learn to do things, get the food and water put away. And then once you get to 2 weeks, make it 3, and then make it 4. And before you know it, it really does not take a whole lot of time to put yourself in a situation where you go, you know what, wow, I can't believe it. I have 6 months worth of food and water put away or prepared for, you know, with filtration and whatever, anything else. Just getting skills and learning how to do things. Help yourselves. That's the biggest thing that I could say to anybody is help yourselves.
Oh, I agree with you totally. And that's one of, you know, you said one of those uncomfortable truths there. And that is, you know, folks, we're, you know, you've got a choice. You can sacrifice now or you can sacrifice later. And, you know, the reality of it is just as he said, you know, you have to decide whether or not this is going to be part of your goal in life is to become prepared. And then you have to get into that full-blown mindset. And if you don't have if you really don't have the extra funds, you've got to find somewhere to cut. You know, there's usually always somewhere to cut, but that's the uncomfortable truth about it. Unfortunately, a lot of people, you know, there's a lot of things that they just don't want to give up. But that's, you know, again, you've got to make that choice. Do I sacrifice now or later?
Well, and the thing is, too, it's like, you know, there's a lot of states, especially here in the Northeast, where they have the bottle and can return. So it doesn't take much of an effort to get out there and pick up some bottles and cans and turn that into money, you know, and use that money as your prepping money. I mean, so anybody in New York that tells me they can't do it, I'm not going to go for that, because of the fact is we have the bottle and can return law here. Michigan has it as well. I think Michigan's actually 10 cents and not 5 cents like we have here. And it amazes me through the years the number of people that I see that just throw away their bottles and cans. Well, it's like if you walk down the street and you see a nickel on the ground, 9 out of 10 people are going to stop and pick that nickel up. But if there's that bottle or can there, they're just going to walk by it. And you know what? That's a nickel. You know, so, and those nickels all add up. And before you know it, like I said, you can have quite a bit to get out there and use for prepping. It's like, so up here in the Northeast with all the different states that have the bottle and can return, there's absolutely no excuse, in my opinion, why you can't do something to prep.
I agree with you totally. And you mentioned about the bottles and cans, and you mentioned the Northeast. Well, I'm going to one-up you. I'm going to say anywhere in the United States. And the reason why, and not with the bottles and cans, but I'm going to have Jennifer put a link in the YouTube chat room. And as soon as she's got that link, I'll have her put it in there. I'm going to tell you guys the link. That is a .com, right? Yeah. There's a website you can go to called surveyjunkie.com. Okay, and you sign up for that website, and essentially I'll try to make it as brief as I can. You take surveys, and what happens is you build up money, and once you build up $10, you can put that money, or you can build up more, but the minimum is $10. Once you build up $10, you can put that into your PayPal account, okay? And I would say Jen's gotten to the point to where about every 2 to 3 days or so, she's good to deposit $10 in her PayPal account. So there you go, right there. Every 2 or 3 days, you can put another $10 towards prepping, and all you have to do is answer questions on a survey. And there's no catches to it, folks, and you're not going to have 5 million people call your phone or 10 million people send you emails. It's actually a pretty solid thing. So again, that's surveyjunkie.com, and Jen's going to put the link to it into the chat room for folks. But there you go. There's a way to be able to put $10 back every few days to be able to add to it.
There you go. And you know what? There's so many different ways to hustle a buck if you're willing to hustle for it. You know, there really is.
Yeah, there is. There really is. And as long as we can keep Big Daddy government out of our hair while we do that, you know, it's most certainly you can. There's always a way.
And there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Nope. I want to know. I know we're kind of specifically. I know we can talk about anything, but when it comes to the power grid and grid down, I know that we're kind of specifically talking EMP. But let me ask you what your thoughts are on the threat from, say, a cyber attack.
You know what? That's a very strong possibility. There was it was in the news, and I think they said it was Russian. I'm not sure 100% what it was, but there was that they got into the power grid, and hackers from Russia got into the power grid. Here's the things. What I think a lot of people don't understand is there are a lot of bad people out there that would be nothing but happier to see the demise of the United States of America, be it because of jealousy or whatever else. You know, they hate us, and so there's people working diligently to destroy us. And so, you know, that's the thing that, you know, I think that, you know, I don't think a lot of people realize that, because a lot of people want to walk around with the rose-colored glasses on and their blinders on. But, you know, there's so many different things going on constantly that, you know, that we really need to be focused on and be diligent with, that, you know, people don't pay attention. And I think that's one of the things that makes me nervous, if you will, is because the number of people out there that are trying to hack into systems. You look at all the security breaches for credit card companies that have happened. It's another great example. There's people out there diligently trying to disrupt our system, disrupt our way of life, to cause us problems. And, you know, if they could get in and they could cause a power outage that could not get put back on for any length. Think about this, okay? I mean, and this is a great example. Let's say there was some kind of thing that they could do that was going to knock the power out for 2 weeks. Do you realize how many people would die in this country if we did not have power for 2 weeks? I mean, the numbers are astronomical, and I think a lot of people don't think about that. Or they don't want to think about it. I think that's probably more than anything else. A lot of people would just rather pretend like nothing is ever going to happen and everything's going to be fine. Well, the one thing that I will definitely say, everything changes. Every situation changes. Look at your lives. I mean, you know, you think things are going great and things are going fine, and then, you know, maybe the next thing you know, you find out you have cancer, or you know, your child breaks their leg, or they're paralyzed, or, I mean, there's so many different things that can happen in the blink of an eye that's going to change your circumstances in a heartbeat, that, you know, people don't think about those things. And so, and it's the same thing with the grid. Our electrical grid is so antiquated and it is so fragile that it's being held together with Band-Aids. They really need to take and invest trillions, not billions, but trillions of dollars into upgrading our power grid. I mean, that would be the best thing they could do. Think about the number of people that we could put to work in this country if we started focusing on taking care of the power grid, the infrastructure, the bridges, the roads, our water system. this country would boom, because of the fact is we need all these things worked on. We need all these things taken care of. And if you give people good paying jobs, and I'm not talking about freaking McDonald's or Burger King or any of those type of, or in the service industry, I'm talking about good jobs where they can be proud and work hard and make a decent living and take care of their families. I'm going to tell you what, you give me anybody and you educate them and you give them a skill. And when I say educate, I'm not just talking college guys. I'm talking about your electricians, your plumbers, your carpenters. That's your backbone of this country, okay? Those are the guys, not your lawyers. Your lawyers learn how to be snakes in the grass and charge ridiculous amounts of money for anything. But if you have a viable skill, like a plumber, like a carpenter, electrician, you will always have work. You're never going to be out of work. And those are the people that keep us going. And they make decent money. And anybody can do that. A good trade, having a good trade is going to be, a machinist. Think about the number of people that are not getting into that. I mean, those are needed things that we need to have in this country.
Oh, I agree with you totally, and even more so after some type of event like an EMP or any type of grid down or any type of large national disaster. Those are the people that we are going to need to rely on to bring this country back, or the people that are trained in those skills.
Yep, exactly.
And there's another thing too when it comes to that area of training. There are so many things that we can utilize in a SHTF situation. It's just a matter of knowing how to adapt that. So we're kind of talking EMP, grid down. So along those lines, there's things like automotive alternators and ceiling fans, and you name it, ways that you can produce electricity, but you have to know how to manipulate or adapt the equipment to be able to produce the electricity from it. And believe it or not, it's really not that hard.
Right. Yep. Very good point. Very good point. And like I said, that goes into learning how to do that now, putting it into practical practice and experimenting and going, okay, let me try this and see if this works. Oh, nope, that didn't work. Let me try something else. But you don't want to be in a situation where it's a life or death situation that, now you have to figure it out or it's life or death. I would rather say, you know what, I might not be completely skillful in this one endeavor, but I have some knowledge of it so I can hopefully get by. Knowing something is better than knowing nothing.
I agree with you totally. And, I'm coming from a position to where we don't have much to spend on preps and stuff like that. So I'm constantly thinking, and instead of having the helpless, hopeless attitude of woe is me, there's nothing we can do, I'm trying to think of ways that I can overcome that. And, I see a lot of people that kind of have the attitude, well, I can't afford this or I can't do that. And I just want to just throw one example out there for folks. So we mentioned a little bit about wood gasification earlier, and I'm not going to go into any depth detail or anything, but essentially wood gasification is it's building a device that will burn wood at such a temperature that it off-gases hydrogen. And you can pull that hydrogen from the barrel, essentially, and you can use that to power a combustion engine. Now, here's the thing. Now, the reason why I kind of preface this with that is because, there's a lot of folks, I can't afford to go out and buy a generator right now. We don't have the money to be able to just walk out and buy a generator. But let me throw something at you. It wouldn't be that hard, especially after an event, to come up with a lawnmower engine, and it wouldn't be hard to come up with a alternator for a car, and of course the regulator as well. The thing of it is, as long as you can fuel that engine, then you can turn the energy produced by that lawnmower engine to turn that alternator for that car to keep your 12-volt battery bank charged. So there's typically always a way. Even if you don't have money, you just have to search for it.
Right, you're right, exactly. Like I said, in knowing, how to set that up. I mean, how valuable is that going to be? Here's the other thing that I would say to people too, and I've talked about this a little bit before. Make yourself valuable to any community or any group in a post-event. Learn how to do different things, and again, it comes back again to putting things into practice. But if you go into an event and you have skills that are going to be valuable that other people don't know how to do, okay, you make yourself a very valuable part of that community. Now, I'm going to give you one example that people aren't even going to think about, okay? Let's talk about a cobbler, somebody that fixes shoes. Well, you know what? There's no more going off to the store to get more shoes, okay? So somebody's going to have to know how to make shoes, get the soles on the shoes and prepare those and do all that type of stuff. Somebody that knows how to make shoes and either moccasins or whatever, using deer hide or whatever, that person or cowhide is going to be a very, very valuable person.
Oh, I agree with you absolutely on that. In fact, one of the novels, because I've told you about different novels that I've read on it, and one of the novels I've read had exactly that scenario where at one of the little marketplaces there was a cobbler that was repairing shoes and making new shoes, and it was interesting reading the different solutions that he had to come up with when it came to making new shoes and repairing old shoes. Like, for instance, the soles of shoes. He wound up starting to use used car tires for to re-sole shoes, and I thought that was pretty good. There's a lot of little different things like that, intuitive, or I should say, I can't think of the word, ingenious kind of things that will help us be able to get past that.
Absolutely. And like I said, the biggest thing that you want to try to do after an event, regardless if it be an EMP or whatever, you want to have things be as normal as possible, especially for kids, because of the it's going to be a very stressful time, very, very stressful. So if you can keep things as normal as possible, and obviously in a post-event, nothing is ever going to be normal again, but if you can still have a hot shower, okay, without maybe using electricity, if you can still have, different things to keep things as normal as possible, it's going to make your life better. It's going to make their life better. It's not just about you. I mean, it's like that's one of the things I think a lot of people lose sight of. We live in a very me society, and it's not just about you. It's about other people as well. And being ready to teach, to help. It's like I hear a lot. I mean, and I get it. I get this. A lot of people are like, oh, well, in a post-event, it's just me and my family, and I don't care about anybody else. Everybody else can die. Well, that's not really the best attitude to have. It's going to take a community to survive. So if you can help through that transition period and help people, and hopefully, and granted, okay, do I want the tweaker or meth head? No, I do not want them, okay, and I'm not going to help them. But if it's a regular family and it was hardworking people that, maybe they were just oblivious, you don't know, but they're willing to work and they're willing to help. You know what? Those are the people that you want to help. I'm not helping anybody that thinks that they're going to sit around on their behind and do nothing while we do everything. Those people I'm not going to help, okay? But the thing is, if you're willing to get out there and learn and work and help the betterment of the group or the community, that's how people are going to survive. And I think a lot of people have no clue about that, and they're so focused on, I got 10 people in my group, and that's all I'm going to have, and we're not going to help anybody. It's just, this is me personally, okay? And people are going to do what they're going to do, okay? But I believe if you want to survive long-term, The only way to do that is have your group, but then be willing to bring people in as long as they're willing to contribute. And you know what? Maybe you bring somebody in that you think is willing to contribute, and you find out that, if this guy's a slug and he's wants to lay around and do nothing, then they're gone. You know what I mean? You get rid of them. You can't have that type of stuff. You have to have the people that are not a cancer to the group. You need to have people that are willing to work for the betterment of it. And I'm going to tell you what, starvation is a huge motivator for a lot of people, and nobody really, there are people that are going hungry in the United States now, but for the most part, most people in the U.S. do not go hungry, okay? So they have no idea what that's going to be like to be hungry. And so if you're hungry, and if I'm coming up to you and I say, well, listen, you know what, I need this wood over here that I got this big pile of wood split, I need that stacked. If you're willing to stack, and work on that for a couple hours, I'm going to give you a meal. I'm going to tell you what, that's a huge motivator. Or even better than that, you got your kids sitting there and they're freaking starving. And I said, well, you stack that wood for me, I'm going to feed everybody. I'll tell you what, people are going to do it. And that's one of the reasons why I prep the way I do. People will say to me, Ed, you got a lot of food and stuff like that, because I'm thinking big picture. I'm thinking down the road. Eventually your preps are going to run out, guys. I don't care how prepped you are, how much stuff you have. Eventually that's going to run out. You need to be able to produce your own food, have those gardens, have enough people that's got a vested interest in seeing that succeed. And, and that's what you do. You have to have a group of people willing to work. And, you're going to have to be able to grow your own crops. That's going to be a huge thing in a post-event, which it's not right now. And like I said, there's a huge learning curve when it comes to gardening. If you don't know what you're doing, you're going to be in big trouble, because that garden fails and that's your life or death. Well, guess what? When that winter comes, it might be your death. So, knowing what to do and how to do it is going to be very, very helpful.
I couldn't agree with you more. And something you said spawned one of those extremely uncomfortable questions, and I'm going to throw it your way.
Okay.
So let's say you take in somebody that you think was going to do a great job, and for whatever reason they're not. And it's time to part ways. Go into that a little bit more. And the reason why I'm saying that is because at that point in time, you're kind of put in an uncomfortable spot, because that person can either A, leave and go find another group or try at it on their own, or B, they could retaliate, or both. What's your thoughts on that, and how do you deal with that? Is there a way to nip that in the bud?
Okay, well, let's be completely realistic, okay? If you have a group and somebody becomes an issue in the group and they become problems and stuff like that, and it would really depend on the situation and what had happened and stuff like that. Okay, so I'm going to give a couple of examples, and I'm going to say what I would do personally. So you have a group, and you have this pretty good functioning group, and let's say, there was a child in the group, and somebody inappropriately touched that child, and they were a pedophile. You didn't know they were a pedophile because obviously you have no access to records, but they're a pedophile, okay? Or a rapist. Well, you can even use that as well. If somebody rapes somebody in a group, I'm going to tell you right now, there's no banishment for that. There's going to be one punishment for that and one punishment only, and they're going to be put down, okay? And they're going to be put down with extreme prejudice. There's no trials. There's none of this nonsense. Now, like I said, this is irrefutable proof that this happened, okay? You'd have to be 100% sure. It's not just somebody being bitter saying, well, they raped me. It would have to be, and usually rapists are pretty violent towards their victim. So, the evidence would probably be pretty much there. So, in that situation, you have to deal with it harshly. Now, depending on, another situation, if just, say, there wasn't the vibe and you guys just all didn't get along, that's going to basically be on a person-by-person basis. Do you feel like they might become a threat and go and get another group of people and come back and try to steal what you guys have? you have to think about those things. That's an uncomfortable truth, and people are going to be like, because I had somebody say to me, before, well, how could you just put somebody down? Well, you may have to. It may not be another choice. Okay. Now, if you could, again, this is on an individual basis. If you don't feel like that person would come back and retaliate, but how do you know they won't? So those are things you got to think about. Because here's my thing is, if you are in an SHTF situation and it's a worst case situation and the world has gone to total crap, if you can't have somebody that's going to work within a group and they're going to be a problem, they may be a bigger problem than you think. Like you said, retaliation, going and getting another group and go, hey, you know what? I know the ins and outs of the compound. I know where everything is. I'll take you there, and if you help me get my revenge, if you will, then, so you got to think about that. Are you willing to take that chance? And so those are things that you really need to think about. I'm not telling people what they should do, but you should think. You need to think about those things. And, it's not like now. There's no, okay, well, we made a mistake, and, we should have probably dealt with that in a different way. It could be catastrophic if you deal with it in the wrong way in a post-event.
I totally agree, and I urge folks that when they even when they think about this stuff ahead of time. Set up layers to your OPSEC, if you will, your operational security. Even as and I'm using this term loosely, a news organization, because we're rather small. We have layers here. And even in my personal life, I have those OPSEC layers, if you want to call them that. And that is, there is nobody that will get, for instance, more on the inside of the workings, whether it be with the news organization or me personally, than, of course, Jim sitting right next to me. But, the same, I think, really needs to happen when it comes to our survival communities. There needs to be layers so that in that instance of a situation like that, if that person would come back with a group or even by themselves, that any damage that could be done would be absolutely minimal. So if I would say like fringe people, so to speak, maybe not allow them to go have access to where the food stores are or whatever the case may be. But make sure you have those layers and make sure you at least build up a base layer of people that you know and trust and that, are very unlikely.
Like your inner circle.
Right, exactly. And even then, don't make that huge, because I'll tell you what, you could think somebody's your best friend and you put them in the right situation and they'll turn on you faster than you can imagine.
Well, the thing is, when you are in a stressful situation, everybody deals with that differently. And so realistically to say, well, I'll react this way if something happens, you can't say that because you don't know until you're in that situation.
Oh, I agree with you totally. I mean, and that goes for all of us. And that's I have this list of priorities for prepping, and I go over them from time to time. And I know you're not up on number one on the list, but I always tell people, number one spiritually. But I actually can turn that into a way that you are a part of. And when I say that to people, when I say number one spiritually, I tell people, even if you want to worship your toaster, that's fine. But just have something more. And it doesn't have to be a spirit. It doesn't have to be a God. It could be a purpose. It could be a goal, a mission. But just have something more that you can look to and say, this is what I'm working for. I can't give up. I've got to work this out. But number two, I always tell people, is mental preparation. And the reason why is because it doesn't matter how much stuff you have stored. It doesn't matter the preps that you have. It doesn't matter how much information that you have in your head, how much knowledge. If you lose your mind, you will not be able to perform. And the sad truth is, you're probably going to die.
Right. No, I agree 100% on that one. You have to really, think about these things. And I've made some videos where people say, oh, my God, that's horrible. How could you say that? But the thing is, the reality is, these are things we need to think about. We need to think about horrible situations that may possibly come up, and what are you planning on doing in that horrible situation? I mean, we may be left with choices that we don't want to make. Because here's the thing, is I'll be honest, I don't want to hurt anybody. But at the same time, I'm not going to risk everybody else because of one person. If it's one person or the group, guess what? You know? And like I said, if you're going to have people that are maybe not mentally stable, or they're mentally stable now because of medications or whatnot, but now because we're in an SHTF situation, and maybe they were fine before. Maybe they were 100%, if you want to call it normal, before an event, but because of an event happening, they had a mental break. Those things are going to happen, and how you deal with those situations are going to really set, basically, if that group is going to be successful or not.
Oh, I agree with you totally, and it's definitely going to be a mind-altering situation. I sit there and I think about this one simple question, and if somebody really sets themselves down and really puts their mind to task when they think about this, and let me add one other thing, as you have to understand that it isn't about you, it's about everybody else. One simple thing, think about what the reaction would be if one simple thing like Facebook disappeared tomorrow. You don't think there would be chaos if Facebook just disappeared tomorrow? I think there would be a hell of a lot of chaos. What do you think?
Oh, I agree with you, and that's something right now that's not life or death. You know what I mean? That's not life or death at all, but people would be freaking losing their mind, because it's such an integral part of our society right now. And, I agree with you 100%. So let's take that into a post-event, and, let's say you have a group, and let's say you have a dynamic leader of the group, okay? And something happens to that leader of that group. Do you have it set into place who's going to be the one that takes over, or who's going to be the one, like say there was an accident and that person was killed or died because of an injury, or they were killed, in a combat situation with another group of people. Who fills that power void? You know what I mean? Because it's like, here's the thing is, it's like, you may have what you think may be the leader of your group, but in an SHTF situation, maybe somebody else stands to the forefront and is a really take charge type of personality. Because I'm going to tell you what, once we get into that situation, it's going to be strong personalities that are going to be the ones that help a group to survive.
Oh, yeah, it is. I agree totally. And, there's almost a happy medium there, though, because there's a downside to that, because there's a lot of people, and in fact, a lot of the people I see with the stronger personalities, sadly, they have this false confidence when it comes to this. I'm sure you've seen it as well. The people that think they have all the answers and know it all, be careful of those people. Be very mindful of those people. Right.
Because we can all learn something new all the time. And here's the biggest thing. I'm going to tell you what makes a good leader. I'm going to tell you what, in my opinion, what makes a good leader is somebody that is willing to listen to other people's ideas. That's my idea of a good leader. Now, you may not agree with their ideas, but you're willing to listen to what they think might be a better solution. And then you basically, I think that if you, as a leader of a group, take that time and say, okay, let me process this, and I'm going to get back to you, and then make that decision after deliberation and debate. I think that's what really truly makes a good leader, is someone that just, like you said, if you got somebody that just says, it's my way or the highway, that's it, no way, I'm not going to compromise at all. You get somebody that won't compromise, that's going to be somebody that's going to get you killed.
Oh, exactly. That's an extreme liability right there.
Yep.
Yeah, that's important. And I just, something had hit my mind that we had talked about before tonight, and I said I was going to I had joined a Facebook group recently, and I was going to throw the idea their way and see if I could get any input. And I will say that I never did get any input. I want to say that because the thought was new to them as well. But you hear a lot about Faraday cages and building Faraday cages and stuff like that. And it had came up, and I don't even remember offhand where it had came up. But it had came up the thought of using water as a Faraday cage. And I know a bit, I know a fair amount about electronics and electrical energy, especially when it comes to radio signals, which is essentially the type of energy that an EMP is. And I, from everything I know, water would be an absolutely great way to protect our devices from that exposure to the EMP. And I just wanted to put that out there. Now, we never got anything back from this group. They were new to hearing that. But that's how a submarine is immune to an EMP as long as they're in the water. The big question is how much water. And I just wanted to throw that out there because, again, to get gears turning, folks, because I'm telling you what, a lot of what I see folks saying will work for a Faraday cage is not going to fly. And I wanted to throw that out there because we need more gears turning on the subject. What's your thoughts?
Right, that's a very good point. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because you've got people out there, folks, that are, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings or anything like that, but I don't know that things like the trash can is gonna quite work so well. I mean, it might.
Yeah, well, it's exactly you don't know for sure, and like I said, I've done that myself. I figure some protection is better than no protection.
Oh, dude.
And
yeah, if that's all you got.
What's that?
Oh, I was going to say, if that's all you got, do it. Do something. Do whatever it is that you can. We've got, I told you, we've got an old Galaxy S4 phone that I've got all of our books stored on and everything ready to go. I've got all kinds of navigational apps put on it, all kinds of goodies on it. In fact, there's a map for Android phones that you can buy called All-in-One Offline Maps, and it actually lets you download the satellite view of maps, okay? So they're downloaded onto your phone. So post-event, you don't have to worry about being connected to the towers or anything like that. As long as your phone works, you can actually get a satellite view of the maps, and which to me is extremely important, because if you need to get from one location to another and you need to do so inconspicuously, you can bring that up and you can look and say, okay, well, I've got a tree line here I can travel, I've got a tree line there I can travel. And, it's very important. But even that phone, which is extremely important to our operations, is simply wrapped up in some aluminum foil and taped up with clear tape, because you know what? That's all I have at the moment. So do whatever it is that you can. At least try something.
No, that makes sense.
What would you recommend? A big thing that comes up when people talk about prepping for an event is bartering. What type of items would you recommend more than others when it comes to bartering?
Well, like I said, food is going to be a huge, huge thing. So, if you can have, and of course, you go back to your staples of rice, but you know what? If you have rice or nothing, you're going to love having rice. Any kind of things that you can break down, like with rice, you can break it down into smaller packages to use for bartering. As far as other things other than food, hygiene things. People are going to want to have, shampoo. I mean, it sounds stupid, and it goes back to that normalcy thing. Okay, being able to shave. So having razors and because those are things that are going to be gone really, really quickly. and everybody's going to be walking around with a freaking beard on. So, you know, being able to have things like that, deodorant, toothpaste, you know, toothbrushes. And I know toothpaste can be made, you know, with a lot of different things, but if you don't know how to do it, what are you going to do, you know? Soap, having bars of soap. Again, soap can also be made, but if people don't know how to make it, what are they going to do? So, you know, having those type of things that can give that person that feeling of normalcy, or being able to look and say, well, God, this reminds me of when things were normal. Because the thing is, you got to remember, too, let's think about anybody that's under 5 years old. Once an event happens, whatever's going on after that is normal. So that's all they're going to remember. They're not going to remember it before then. Your teenagers are going to have those memories of, you know, 40 years from now, when wherever we would be in whatever state of the world we would be in, they're still going to have memories of when things were normal. So, you know, anything that's going to bring you back to those times when things were normal, that would be a very good thing to have. You know, that could be used for barter.
Oh, I agree. I agree. And there are some particular items that I think would be insanely profitable when it comes to that, like, say, coffee. If you can provide coffee, if you can provide alcohol, or if you could provide nicotine, which brings me to this weekend, I'm going to do a video on vaping and SHTF. I'm a vapor. I'm a nicotine addict. I smoked for many, many years, got up to 3 packs of cigarettes a day, and it was rough. But here's the thing. With vaping, you can store a lot of vaping materials in a small amount of area and for a relatively cheap cost. And if you can provide nicotine, you know, again, for that comfort, like you're saying, going back to that quote-unquote normal, if you can provide things like coffee, nicotine, and alcohol, things like that, you will, I mean, you'll be community king. What's your thoughts?
You're right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep. And people would be shocked. I mean, absolutely shocked with how inexpensively they can do this stuff. And you know, that's why I got into vaping to begin with. I don't kid people. I didn't get into vaping to better my health. I got into vaping because I thought that was one heck of a prepping tool. And I'll tell you what, I could, within, I used to say one, and it would take me a couple of now, but in a couple of shoe boxes worth of size space, I can store the vaping materials that would last me a couple of years probably. And you know, how much space would you need to store, say 2 years worth of cigarettes? So you see, that's one of the things that I get at when I speak about it.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and you know, the idea is ideally to get away from all that stuff ahead of time. That of course is the ideal thing. But of course not everybody is going to do that. So why not take advantage of it? You know what I'm saying?
Yep, yeah, I hear you. I absolutely hear you on that.
So you got any cool updates coming for the homestead there?
Like I said, a lot of it always comes down to money. So, you know, we're just trying to, like I said, the focus right now is finishing up this wood that we're working on. And once I have that all squared away, and like I said, the weather this week is really not cooperating very well. But, you know, we'll get it done. And hopefully within the next couple of days, we'll get the rest of the wood that we already have split stacked. And I can get the rest of it split, and then we can go from there. But, you know, once that project's done, I do have some money put away to work on the solar system a little bit, and I'm going to go with a different design than I originally intended to, just because of finances. And so I'm going to be working on that and getting the other 3 panels that I have up as well, and, you know, getting those all squared away so we're more prepared for winter this year, you know, as far as that goes. And we're just going to have to see how that goes, and you know, I'm just going to do the best that I can with it.
Oh, I hear you there. That's pretty much all you can do. And I'll tell you what, I've been really impressed because I've watched your channel for like a long time, and I remember that you had a different solar setup before, and I can't remember. Didn't your original inverter, or solar charge controller, didn't it die on you? I meant solar charge controller.
Actually, what happened was I fried my first inverter, and then I didn't tell anybody, but I fried a second one. Because I was too embarrassed to tell everybody. I told them that I fried the first one, but literally I rehooked everything up and fried a second one immediately. So we ended up having to do a third one, and then the following year is when I went from a 12-volt system to a 24-volt system, and we upgraded everything at that point. And I actually, I sold my old inverter that I had to somebody, and sold my batteries to that same person, and then we upgraded everything. I mean, I upgraded the batteries, the system, redid everything, and since that time we've just been adding on solar every year up to that point. And people have said, well, aren't you at a point now where you need to add new batteries? Well, if I get to a point where I am in absorption mode, and basically the best way to explain that is if you have a 24-volt system, the max that system's going to let you hold is 28.6 volts. Or it'll be a 28.6 is the most you're going to be at, okay? Then you're in absorption mode. Once you're in absorption mode, then any power that you're creating after that gets dumped. So if you can get to your point where you're in absorption mode all day long, now it's time to get new batteries and add batteries to your system. So eventually that is going to be something that we're going to work on. And, I'm going to actually upgrade my batteries when we get to that point. It's going to be very, very pricey, but I want to go with a lead-based battery as opposed to the acid-based batteries. And the difference is that acid-based batteries, you're looking at a 10-year shelf life if they're taken care of. With a lead-based battery, you're looking at better than 20 years. Because I've had that question proposed to me, too. They were like, well, what happens in an SHTF event if it's not an EMP and you got your solar system and then your batteries die on you? Then you got to look at some other alternative ways to store that power. So, those are always things to consider as well.
Alrighty, and there was, I watched, I'm trying to think of the channel. There's a channel that just put in a solar system recently, and really nice system. I mean, this is absolutely incredible system, and they actually went with lithium ion. What are your thoughts on that?
Those are good batteries as well. Like I said, what you want to try to look at is something that you don't have to do maintenance on, something that's going to be able to withstand the cold and the heat, and something that's going to give you a long-term use of that battery. That's what you want to look at. And again, as you go with those type of options, they're more expensive. But again, that's an investment in whatever you're doing anyway.
Right, I agree with you, and I thought about it, because I'm always thinking whether I can do something or not. I'm always thinking, and I always thought, what, if I was in the position, I think what I would do, I think I would set myself up with like lithium-ion batteries to start out with. But I think what I would do is I would have some lead-acid batteries that were sitting back stored without the acid in them. And that way, when my lithium ions went bad, I could simply pour the acid into the lead acid batteries. And if I'm not mistaken, they would be good because they didn't have the acid. There was no chemical reaction going on inside that battery for the entire time that they were stored. So, I dream all the time. But personally, that's the route that I would go if I could.
Right. No, that's not a bad idea. And you can do that with those type of batteries. You can store them without the liquid in there, and that's going to, then you don't, until you use them, they're going to be fine.
Right, exactly. And that's what's good, too, about, you could probably get away with doing that with lithium ion as well, because lithium ion batteries store very, very well. They hold up very well. I know they tell people, being a vapor, I'm constantly using lithium ion batteries, and I know that they tell the vapors that, your batteries are only good for a year, okay? And let's see, one set of the batteries I'm vaping on now is about 4.5 years old. So, I personally, I think they last a lot longer than what they claim they do. But they store very, very well. But it's really important for you to get the information on how to store them, because things are different when it comes to like lead acid batteries. If you have a lead acid battery that's got that's complete, it's got the acid in it and everything else, the best way to store those batteries is to keep them as electrically maintained. In other words, have like a trickle charge or a maintainer on them to keep those batteries charged. That's how you prolong the life of a lead acid battery. However, that's not the case for a lithium ion battery. You want a lithium ion battery to be somewhere around 60 to 70% charged when you store it. So it's important to know how you properly store batteries.
Right.
So is there any other? I know you'd kind of mentioned it at the very beginning when you started talking about grid down scenario situation, and you had mentioned about the transformers. And what are your thoughts? What do you think of the possibilities of that type of an attack happening? People attacking the right amount of transformers in the right places to be able to bring the grid down. Do you think that's a plausible thought?
I think it could be. I mean, you have so many people in this country that have just, they've opened the doors and just let basically anybody in, or they've snuck in. And, there's terror cells all over this country that train on a regular basis that are, ready and prepared to do acts in whatever name of whatever religion it is that they're following. And, they want to destroy the United States. So, I mean, that is definitely a very serious possibility. And think about this. There's certain transformers that if we had an EMP that not even built in the United States anymore, these great big huge ones, and it takes 6 months to get one of them. So if that was the case, you're talking about a long, long period of time where the grid would be down. And, earlier you had said that they said that 70% of the people would be dead within the first year. I think it's a very underestimated number. I think it would probably be closer to 90%, because what's going to happen is you're going to have little groups of people that are going to survive and work together, and you're going to have towns that are going to band together and survive, and those things are going to happen. But here's what a lot of people don't even think about. There's a lot of bad people out there that are going to survive too, and they don't follow the rules now. What makes you think that they're going to play nice when things go to crap in this country? All bets are off then, and they're going to be even more vicious than they were before, because there's no punishment other than death for their crimes. So, they're going to basically do whatever they want to do, and they're going to band together, and they're going to wreak havoc, and they're going to attack groups. And you may have one group that, may say to another group that, help us out, and they go no, and now you might start little wars like that as well. So, I mean, there's a lot of different possibilities of where people are going, you're going to have your initial people that are going to die in the beginning, okay? There's no doubt about that. A lot of people are going to be casualties in the very beginning. But then you're going to have your tougher people, your more resilient people, your survivors that are going to survive. What happens after that initial 6 months? What are they going to have to do to continue to survive? That's where it's going to be really telling of how things are going to be after that point.
Oh, exactly. And I think it's, I think it's important. You had mentioned earlier, and I know kind of jumping around a little bit here, but it's almost one of those things that you have to, you had mentioned community. And I want to emphasize that because I think a lot of people are misconceived that they're going to be able to put together a group of 8 of their favorite people and be able to survive, for generations based from those 8 people. And that's kind of unlikely. And I like to emphasize that. It's better. I'm not saying that you build up a community of thousands of people where you don't know half the people in there. Not at all. But you have to have enough people to be able to produce in whatever way that you're going to need, whether that be produce in defense or whether that be produce food or whatever the case may be. So I always tell folks to be mindful of that because a lot of people, you've got the people out there that think they're going to be lone wolves. And unless you were special forces in the military, best of luck to you. But I don't see it happening. And then aside from that, like I say, you've got the people that think they can put together, 6, 7, 8 people and be able to live indefinitely. I want to know your thoughts on that. I think it's going to take a bigger number than that. What do you think?
Well, let's look at the number of 6 or 7 guys working together. No women, no children. What happens then? What happens when somebody gets sick? Who's going to take care of them? You got nobody to teach anything to pass on skills to, so it's like, if you have a larger group, and when I say a larger group, I mean, let's go with, let's go with a number of 200 people. Let's use that number. Because pretty much if you got 200 people, everybody pretty much is going to know everybody, okay? People are going to be specialized in different areas of what they're good at, and, working together. If you got a group of about 200 people that know what they're doing, that have skills, that are trained, that know how to do OPSEC and hopefully some ex-military in there that know tactics and stuff like that. Your roving bands of bad guys are probably going to leave those kind of groups alone, because there's easier pickings out there. If you got, let's say it was me and my kids and it was just the 3 of us out here, and I'm thinking that I can do this all by myself, you're an easy target. A group of 20 people can come in here, a group of 10 could come in here and take everything that you got, and take over your compound and take care of everything you work for. But if they roll in here, that group of 20, and they know that there's 100 people down in here, they're not coming. They're going to move on to greener pastures. And so, your larger group, and you're going to have problems in your larger groups too, don't get me wrong. There's always going to be problems, but, there's safety in numbers. And, but like I said, you have to, right from the very beginning, people are going to have to realize that everybody has to contribute. Just because you're the guy in charge, let's say you're the big guy in charge and you were the town councilman, okay, and you're used to being in power and in control, and you think you're going to sit up there and just tell everybody else what to do. Well, if you're not willing to get out there and pitch in, you're going to lose a lot of respect right away, and you're not going to be in power very long. But, if you're willing to get out there and everybody works and realize that everybody has to work for everybody to survive for the greater good of the group, things are going to go much smoother. And here's the thing is, too, you're going to need to have that person who is the peacemaker. Like in a motorcycle club, you're talking about your sergeant at arms, okay? You're going to need to have that person that people respect, that are going to take their advice, and it's going to have to be able to be there to squash those little squabbles that are going to come up. Because believe me, I don't care if you got a group of 8 people, I don't care if you got a group of 20, you have a group of 50, 100, or 200. There's always going to be issues inside of a group, no matter what. You have to have the right people in place with the right skills to deal with those situations. So that's something to think about as well.
Oh, I agree with you totally, and you touched on the exact point that I was thinking of when I said you're going to need a substantial amount of people, and that was, the fact that, and I'm going to throw the number of 10 people out there. it's not real hard to take out enough people out of 10 people to cause a problem. If you've got 10 people and let's say you kill 3 and you injure 2 others, that brings you down to 5 people. Now, it actually brings you down less than 5 people, and the reason why is because those people that are injured are going to need cared for. So that means, some of the 5 that are still unharmed are going to have to take care of the 2 that are injured. Okay, so, it doesn't take long when those, for those numbers to dwindle down. And, I think that's a place where a lot of people fail. That they think that their group of 10 people are gonna all of a sudden, each individual is gonna turn into Rambo or something. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, and think about this: if you got a group of 10 people, and you have your chores distributed evenly among those 10 people, and a couple people get killed, a couple people get injured, those chores still need to be done. So you're putting more taxing on everybody else in the group to get those things done. It makes it that much harder. Where if you have a larger group, even if you have some people that are down, you still have other people that can step up, and it's not going to be that big of an issue as far as, people are not going to be, because here's the thing is when you're overtired and you're not getting enough sleep, you're not thinking clearly. And so, in a post-event, you want to try to be as sharp as you possibly can be, because it's going to be a very, very stressful time. And so, again, there's that safety in numbers situation. So if you have a larger group, you have larger numbers, there's more safety there, you're going to get better rest, and it just, life is going to be better and easier. And again, as soon as you can make things as normal as possible, setting up that shower system, even if you're doing it outside and you got like my big black tank there, get that up in a higher position where the sun's going to hit it and heat that water up all day long. And now, you've worked all day and you're hot and you're sweaty, and, there's nothing like a nice shower at the end of the day. And I'm going to use a real good example. When I had my other property, we would be up there working and there was no water up there. I set up a rain catchment system, and we had, we built an addition on, and we had the shower room. Well, I'm going to tell you what, the first day that I was actually able to take a shower at the end of the day of working all day and being sweaty and filthy and stinky, man, that was so refreshing. It was absolutely awesome. So just those type of things, makes life so much better and so much more pleasurable that, we take those things for granted now. You don't take them for granted when you don't have them. I mean, even running water. I'm going to tell you what, you don't have running water for any length of time. When you have running water again, you appreciate it.
Oh, I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. And, I've read a lot of novels, and I'm very careful when I say that, because I don't want people to think that, this guy's just read a bunch of novels. He doesn't. No, I've put my homework in the reality of things as well. But the thing of it is there is important things. If you find the right author that has done their homework as well. And Angry American is like absolutely, his name's Chris Weatherman. Angry American has an absolutely excellent series of books. And so does William Forstchen. And I'll tell you what, you see real quick just what effect that shower has. And I understand it's just a novel, it's just a book. But these guys done their homework. A lot of these guys have researched, what has happened in different countries and stuff like that when they have collapsed or when they've become war-torn. And that, I'll tell you what, in almost every single novel that I have ever read, they made a point of pointing out that shower. I mean, so yeah, I understand what you mean.
And people have no idea how huge that is.
Right. And that's like, here's a little thing, and I think I've told you about this, and I've probably mentioned it on our show before. But one day, Jen and myself, we were at Walmart, and we're just walking around, and I saw what I thought to be a fair deal on a cheap pack of razors, and I think it was Bic brand or something, but they came with like 7 heads or something like that, and they were inexpensive, like $5 or $6, I think. And I told Jen, I said, grab a couple packs of those. And I was explaining to her at the time, I said, you have no idea. You may hate to shave your legs right now. That may be a big pain in the butt for you. And it's even more so for Jen, for those that don't know, because she's got cerebral palsy. So it's not, it's more of a task for her. And it's a pain in the butt, and it's not something that she enjoys. But post-event, something like that is going to be the biggest blessing, that you could ever imagine.
Yeah, I agree 100%. That's a huge thing.
Is there what are some other comfort ideas that a lot of people don't think of? Because a lot of people know things like chocolate, like you mentioned, shower. What's something that you think maybe people haven't thought of that would be easy to obtain and store?
Here's another thing. Let's talk about spices. Spices are going to be a huge thing, because it's like, if you have very bland food, like rice as an example, rice on its own is not all that tasty, and you would get tired of eating it rather quickly. But if you can mix in other things with that rice, be it spices of some sort, or mix it up, it's going to make it more palatable, and it's going to because taste is going to be a big thing. So it's like, with like having, everybody, beans and rice. Well, that's great, but it's like, if it's just plain beans and plain rice, you're going to get sick of it pretty quickly, okay? But if you can add spices to that and have, spices on hand to make it taste better, that's going to be a really, really big thing. And so that would be something that, because I have a ton of spices set aside that, just in, for that emergency situation. Okay, here's another thing that I would say that would be a huge thing, and I don't think a lot of people think about this: iodized salt. That's not something that normally comes popping up in the topic of conversation when it comes to prepping, but we need to have iodine in our diet because of goiters and stuff like that. That helps us so that we don't get them, because nobody gets goiters because all salt is iodized. But now if you have no access to salt anymore, how fast before you think that's going to be an issue again? So I know myself personally, and people think, really, you got that much? I probably have 150 pounds of iodized salt stashed away, because again, you have to think ahead. You have to think of things that are just, we take for granted now, that would be a luxury item in a post-event. And I'm going to tell you what, I like salt on my food, okay? I mean, tonight, Heather and I, for part of our dinner, we cut up one of the cucumbers out of the garden, okay? And, first of all, it was freaking awesome. But, I like salt on my cucumbers. So, having that luxury, if you will, of having that salt is going to be a big thing. Think about this. How about sugar? Having access to sugar, that's another great barter item in a post-event. People are going to, here's the thing is, I know for myself and my kids, I inherited from my mother, I have a sweet tooth that would not beat the band. That's probably why I'm as fat as I am. But, it's like, people are going to still crave that sugar. They're going to want that sugar. So if you have sugar that you use as a barter item, and maybe it's something that you forgot about, oh my God, I didn't even think about that, I needed that. That's going to happen a lot, folks. That's one of the things that I'm going to tell you right now. Once we get into a post-event, and even for anybody that is a prepper, myself included, you're going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't think about that. There's going to be things that you didn't think about. Having nails, having screws, the tools to use those type of things. Those are going to be a huge barter item as well. Because think about this. You're not running down to the hardware store when you're building something anymore. Way back in the day, if you look at the way the construction was, they used pegs, that they made themselves. So, and again, that's a skill that we don't have anymore. So if you have screws and nails and those type of things to be able to use to help you build in a post-event, that's going to be a really, really big thing.
Oh, exactly. And you mentioned important staples like sugar and salt. And I want to explain one of the things that we do. Being somebody that doesn't have a lot of resources to go out and buy a bunch of stuff, when we go shopping, we typically aim for going shopping like once a month for our food supplies. So when we do that, we get like a big bag. We get like a 25-pound bag of sugar, for instance, because you can get it cheap at Walmart. It's like what is it, babe? Like $13 for a 25-pound bag of sugar. You know, so here's the thing. Even though that we can't store 5,000 pounds of sugar because we can't afford to do it, nor do we have the place to do it, we start out that month with 25 pounds of sugar. So if we were to have something happen, okay, say we went shopping a couple of days ago and then boom, the grid went down today. Okay, we've got all that sugar. So it goes back to what, we've said before about, do whatever you can, because it's better than shopping for the week. What I'm getting at is if you go to the store and you just get yourself the smallest bag of sugar because you'll be going back to the store next week, try to avoid doing that. Try to, some of these items, try to buy them in bigger amounts, enough that it would at least last you through the month, because if you can get past that initial time, that is huge. If you can get past that, because it's not going to take long. Once that chaos starts, it's going to burn out pretty quick. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, like I said, the initial chaos, and I've talked about this before, and people say, well, what are you going to do, when SHTF happens? I plan on hunkering down. I plan on laying low as much as I possibly can. Will continue to work on my defenses on the homestead at that point, obviously. But, it's like the biggest thing you want to do is you want to avoid being in a grocery store. Because if it is an SHTF event, people are going to die initially very fast in those grocery stores, because if you got something and I want it and I got a gun, guess what? I'm going to take it from you. That's the mindset, okay? And that's a mindset of a lot of people. So, to hunker down, to try to ride out the initial nonsense that's going to happen is going to be the best thing that you can possibly do. But again, to be able to do that, you need to be prepared. And, and just like I said, it's like, you have to think of your children and stuff like that. Don't put yourself in any kind of harm's way if it's at all possible in the beginning of an event. If you are in a city and you plan on bugging in, try to keep as low a profile as you possibly can, because it's going to be a very dangerous place to be, okay? Also, like I said, even in the country, people say, oh, well, you're not safe in the country because people will come and, and they may. Okay, and probably the people that I need to worry about more than anything else are going to be my neighbors. But hopefully, I already have some of them that I plan on working with, that I've talked with, and we're planning on working together. So, if you can get in that right, spot with yourself and be ready as much as you can be, if you can lay low as much as you possibly can, and don't expose yourself to that danger that's going to be out there, because I'm going to tell you what, there's going to be a lot of killing. There's going to be a lot of rape. There's going to be a lot of chaos. And if you get yourself in a bad situation, it's like you say, okay, well, I got to get to the store because, oh, my God, things have just gone south and I don't have anything at the house. I don't want to be there. I want to be laying low. I want to be home. I want to be, ready to go, dealing with whatever threat is there and that presents itself, and dealing with it at that time. So those are the things that, like I said, be as ready as you possibly can be. Give yourself every advantage that you possibly can, and try to be smart. Think, here's the thing is, it's like a lot of people don't want to think like this. Think like a criminal would think. What would I do if I was trying to hurt these people? If I wanted to take things from these people, how would I do it? Okay? So, initially when things go south, you got to think like a criminal would think. And, you really have to, just try to survive it. It's going to be absolutely horrible, and a lot of good people are going to die. A lot of bad people are going to die. But the ones that survive it are going to be, like I said, anybody that's had some kind of an advantage from the very beginning, your chances of survival drastically will increase if you are prepared in any way. And that's just that's the reality.
Oh, I totally agree with you, and that even goes as far as even if you can only mentally prepare and knowledgeably prepare. In fact, those are probably the most important preparations that you can have.
Exactly.
So,
well, listen, it's 8 o'clock. I have a couple other things that I have to do, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off of here.
Okay. Okay. Well,
and so I hope everybody has a great rest of your night, and thanks for listening to us.
Well, don't hang up without saying it.
Okay, yep, okay. Remember, guys, hug and kiss the ones you love. Tell them every single day. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. We never know what's going to happen, so it's so important to tell the people that you care about. And remember STD. It's one step at a time, one thing at a time, and one day at a time. Whatever you're trying to do, whatever you're trying to accomplish, if you work at those things methodically, you will be surprised at how fast you can accomplish things by doing that, and you'll have things done in no time. And never listen to negativity. Negative people want to bring you down to where they are. So stay positive. I will talk to you guys all later, and look for tomorrow's video.
Right on, brother. Thank you very much for coming on.
Hey, not a problem.
We'll talk to you later.
All right, we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye-bye. Alrighty, so that was definitely awesome. I'll add a little bit more as far as we had talked a bit about different ways that a grid down could happen, being EMP, whether or not transformers are attacked, cyber attack. I want to take it one step further, and I want to talk about who. And a lot of people, when you start talking EMP, people automatically start thinking North Korea or China. You know, same thing when you talk about cyber attack. In fact, Iran has very recently been in the news for attacking our internet. Sorry, I wasn't pulling the right words out. But Iran has just within the last week been in the news for that. Now, mind you, and I want to emphasize this, every time I hear this stuff in the news, I take it with a grain of salt. And the reason why is because if our grid goes down, and I'm just going to be totally frank with everybody, I think there's probably about a 90% chance that it's going to go down from the inside, meaning it's not going to be North Korea, it's not going to be China, it's not going to be Iran, and I just want to throw something out there for folks. A lot of preppers have really lightened up prepping since Donald Trump took office. And, you know, they think, I guess, that everything is going to go just swell now, and there's not going to be any kind of a problem or anything like that. And I want to emphasize something. We need to worry more now with Donald Trump in office than ever before. And the reason why isn't anything other than the fact of there are some people that are going down right now. If you look at what's going on in just the pedophilia realm of things, there's some pretty big people going down right now. In fact, I can't think of how to spell or pronounce the name of the woman that was just arrested, but a very prominent figure in the pedophile rings. Okay. And I do think that at the very least, Donald Trump has allowed for a proper investigation into this. Okay, so here's the thing, and you can go back and you can look in history and over and over and over again. These type of individuals don't just give up power. Okay, it doesn't work that way. They don't just give it up. Say, oh, you know what? I was wrong. Here, take your country back. It doesn't work like that, okay? It's not that simple. Here's the thing. I think, and we're starting to see it now, I think there's going to be so much kicking and screaming and, wiggling of worms, so to speak, that I think it's very likely that we are going to experience some type of major event very, very soon, because these individuals are going to do everything they can to try to preserve themselves and to try to prevent themselves from being caught. And, I go over the scenario, I don't know how many times, even per day, and, I look at it and I'm like, okay, let's think about all the different scenarios to where we can get the people's minds off of locking Hillary up, okay, where we can get the people's minds off of building a wall, where we can get the people's minds off of rejecting anything New World Order-ish, okay? And the one thing that my mind always lands on is grid down. However it may be, whether it be EMP, whether it be cyber attack, physical attack on the substations, that is the one thing. Because I'll tell you what, and I had spoke about this before. In fact, I think today in the monologue I even mentioned it. The most important thing, whether you like Donald Trump or not, whether you think he's doing a good job or not, the most important thing is that he has gotten the Constitution-loving patriots fired up. Okay? That's the force to be reckoned with. Not one man that's president, not even all the others that make up Congress, okay, or even the ones that make up our own state legislature. Okay, those aren't that's not the force to be reckoned with. The force to be reckoned with is we the people. And if it gets to a point to where we the people say, you know what, we've had enough. We're not going to wait for the Department of Justice. We're not going to wait for this or that. We're not going to wait for any more investigations. Come on, we knew the truth about Benghazi how long ago? I see the people reaching a point to where they say, you know what, we're not going to play your dog and pony show anymore at all. And it's that point that they need to worry about. And I think they are worried about. I think they're scared to death of that right now. And I do see grid down as a tool that they would use to prevent us from taking them down. And the reason why is because, let's face it, if they took down the power grid, we're going to be so busy just surviving. The last thing that's going to be on our minds is building a wall or putting Hillary in jail or any of that. We're going to be too busy trying to keep our loved ones alive. So I definitely think now is a more likely time for SHTF than any other time in our history, because the power structure is shaken right now, and those at the top of it, man, they're scared. And if you pay close attention to the different stuff that's going on, it's obvious that they're afraid. So we'll see what happens, but that's just that's just something that I want to throw out there, because a lot of people they listen to mainstream news, and unfortunately believe it. And most of it's simply not true. And that's one of the things we do here at the Watchman News. We get through all that stuff. We don't take anything like that and just say, okay, well, this website reported it, so it's true. I spend a lot of time digging into information and doing the best I can to find out what is really going on. And my sources are limited just like anybody else, but the problem is a lot of different news, even alternative news out there, they really don't do the digging. So they wind up parroting whatever it is that makes them feel good, which makes them no better than any other mainstream news. So that's what I think is important. And when you do that kind of digging, you find out real quick that we have much more of a threat from within than what we do from the outside. And I want to make sure folks understand that, because there's a lot of people that I've seen in the prepping communities that have really relaxed because Hillary's not in office. And you know, I'll tell you what, I think times are more dangerous with Trump in office than with Hillary in office, and it's not because of Trump doing a bad job or Trump saying bad things. That always gets me. You know, it has nothing to do with that. It happens to be directly related to Trump doing what the American people are demanding. And you know, there's a lot of power to be lost here, folks. A lot of power. If you sit back and you think, you know, about, you know, how much quote unquote freedom is a farce in this country, you know, it's staggering. And if you think about every single thing that you got to get a permit for, or this or that or the other thing, you know, if you add all that up, you know, if we the people demand that they do away with fishing licenses, hunting licenses, driver's licenses, permits to build a structure on your property, you know, that's a lot of money. That is a whole lot of money, even just a little bit, you know. I believe New Jersey, I just read an article today that New Jersey is putting a bill forward to tax the water. You know, and their excuse is they want to prevent what's happening in Flint right now by adding a tax to the water, and that way they can start saving up money to be able to replace aging water lines and whatnot to prevent what's happening in Flint, Michigan, which, by the way, is happening everywhere in this country. Don't think it's just Flint. There's actually maps out there that you can look up, Google it, and you'll find out that, believe it or not, there's a lot of areas in this country that are far worse off than Flint, Michigan, and you don't hear a peep about it on the news. You don't hear a word about it, and you can, you know, you can get the kits to check your own water, and largely that's what's going on with this map that is available to us. Is people are testing their water, and they're sending in samples of their water, and it's insane. It's insane. But anyway, back to the New Jersey thing. When do you know if the government's putting back money? The government never puts back money. In fact, the government only takes money. Okay. The lottery comes to mind to me. When I can remember when they brought the lottery to the state of Illinois. Yeah, unfortunately, that's where we're located. I can remember when the lottery came here, and I can remember all the talk about how much money was going to go into education and this and that and the other thing. And you know what? Hardly anything ever makes it to education. And the reason why is before they even started selling lottery tickets, the state legislators were already in there, you know, filing whatever it is they call it, so that they could get a hold of that money and say, you know what, well, we need it for this more importantly than we do this. So very little of that money even went to education. It's going to you know, to do scientific research on the mating of ants and just stupid stuff, right? So, you know, you have to be mindful of that stuff as well. It's insane. But if the people stand up and say, you know what, we're not going to accept this anymore. We're just not going to do this anymore. And I think that time is coming very, very soon. You can expect an event to happen. And you know, some people, when I talk about this stuff, they say, oh, you're fear-mongering. You're fear-mongering. No, I'm not. I'm not fear-mongering. I'm being realistic. If you want fear-mongering, I can show you plenty of YouTube channels for that. I'm being realistic. The people in this country are fed up. They're tired of it. They're tired of so many things in this country. One of the things that we cover a lot here in the Watchman News is we cover a lot of, like, say, police-involved shootings and stuff like that. And, you know, we cover the ones that are very questionable. And I have to say this about that. We've been doing this here for 4 years now. And from the time that we started doing this to now, there has been a drastic change and the way the public is reacting to these incidents, even incidents that are right, even incidents to where force is applied and it's rightfully so. I'm like this, if you pull a gun on a cop, you deserve to get shot. I mean, if when it comes to something stupid. Now, on the other hand, if it's a crooked cop and they're doing crooked things, I'm 110% constitutional, and you have the right to protect yourself. And in fact, many states even has that in their laws that you can protect yourself even from law enforcement. So I want to make a point of that. But the thing of it is the people's reaction has completely did a 180. Now you are starting to see the public on a very high level verbally fight back, and it's only one more step to where that verbal altercation is going to turn physical. So, I think it's important that we watch that kind of stuff. I think this country, and I'm not pointing any fingers, and I highly suggest folks not point any fingers. And the reason why is because there's a lot of extra pressures being put on we the people today. And I honestly think that is a very large factor in what is causing people to snap. Because, there are so many different things. Somebody had, let me think. Who was it? And I applauded them for including small business owners. I can't remember what that was. Was it, maybe the topic was suicide. As a matter of fact, it was suicide. And they included small business owners in it, and it was important to include them, and let me explain why. Okay, and that was suicide. I know suicide's different than homicide. I get that, but here's the thing: when somebody is in a situation to where they feel they have nothing else, they have nowhere else to turn, there's no more options, their back is up against the wall. They're going to do one of two things. They're going to lash out inside, or they're going to lash out outside. It's either going to be external or it's going to be internal. Okay, if it's internal, they're likely going to commit suicide. But if it's external, that's where you get your mass shooters. Okay, that's where you get your mass shooters. Now, I was so pleased that somebody had included small business owners, and the reason why is because I think that's just one of the elephants in the room when it comes to these extra pressures and extra stresses and stuff like that we're under. Because you take somebody that fell on hard times, and they have a skill, and so they put that skill to work, and they start a small business, and they try to provide for themselves and their family. And then you have the government that steps in and says, well, you can't do that. And you've got this and that, all these reasons why they can't do that, and why it would make it so hard for them to go into a quote-unquote legal business, performing a legal service or whatever the case may be, that at some point they snap, because they don't, they're just, it's so frustrating. Believe me, it's absolutely frustrating, and it goes back, I always talk about on the show, I always talk about the kids selling lemonade, and how, all these kids selling lemonade are getting their lemonade stand shut down, which I think is absolutely bogus. And, it causes, and I'm not talking about the kids in lemonade, but with adults trying to take care of their families, that's a lot of pressure, and for nothing, I think back, and I want to point out, several years back, there was a gentleman that had issues with the IRS, and it wound up to a point to where the guy flew a small aircraft into an IRS building, folks. He flew a small aircraft into an IRS building. And what's crazier than that, and I've seen a bunch of stuff go around on Facebook here recently, because I think it's I think not long ago was the anniversary of this event. The guy that took a bulldozer and armored it up, right? And went through, and I mean, just tore the heck out of town with that thing. And, these are examples that I'm talking about, small businessmen that the government screwed over. and lashing out. So these are things that we need to keep in mind too, you know. My point behind all of that is that the people are becoming very, very upset. Which brings me to yet another group of people that could bring the grid down. And I know sometimes I can get long-winded to getting around to my points, but that's another threat that we have to worry about is individuals in this country that are upset because, let's say, they couldn't pay their power bills. Okay? Now, that may sound kind of insane or whatever, kind of unlikely, but let me throw something at you. Okay, we're going to go back up to Flint, Michigan for a minute. Flint, Michigan has went and unhooked tons and tons of people's water for non-payment. Okay, now, mind you, from my understanding, the water rates in Flint, Michigan are absolutely insane, just beyond insane. So they've got extremely high prices for lead-contaminated water, which just absolutely blows my mind just right from the beginning. But here, you know, there was a period of time in the news to where, you know, there was a very, very large part of Flint, Michigan that didn't have water service because of non-payment, right? Oh, and it gets crazier than that. Now they're going after people's possessions. They're actually foreclosing. They're actually taking ownership, I should say, taking ownership of people's property, their homes and their land for non-payment of their water bill. That's no joke. No joke. Now, how pissed off do you think those people are? Right? How furious would you be? So let's say that moves to electricity. Let's say energy costs skyrocket and go through the roof. And it's very, very possible for that to happen, especially in today's climate with the trade war going on and everything else. Let's say that happens, okay? And you get a bunch of individuals upset because there's no way in hell that the average person or slightly lesser than average person can afford to pay their power bill. So you've got people that are dying from hypothermia during the winter or whatever the case may be. You're going to have some pissed off individuals that are going to want to lash out. Well, you know, I know right now is not a particular point in time to where people are directing their anger in the right direction, if you know what I mean. You have an unarmed person get shot by police and people get together, they protest, they riot, they burn down Little Caesars. Doesn't make any sense to me. Little Caesars didn't shoot the unarmed guy, but that's what they do. They go and they burn down Little Caesars or 7-Eleven or whatever the case may be. Okay? But I think that at some point that anger is going to become more and more directed. And when it does, in the case of electricity or power, you know, I think you're going to have people taking down, you know, transmission lines or taking out substations and stuff like that. So that's even yet another group that I would say is, yeah, I would say would be more likely to take it down than what I would think North Korea, Iran, China. You know, I think there's a lot of fear-mongering going on. And I think that's largely to get us riled up in case there's a need to go to war for these other countries. I think that's probably the largest part of it. I think it's propaganda. I mean, that's essentially what it is. It's propaganda. Do these other countries have the ability? Oh, certainly. Oh, certainly, without a doubt. In fact, you know, North Korea's got 2 satellites up in space that flies over the United States all the time. And I certainly believe that one, if not both, of those satellites contains an EMP device. I have no doubt of it. No doubt of it. So, you know, as far as, you know, could these other countries do it? Oh, yeah, easily. Easily. I don't think right now, and I'm saying right at this second, I don't think that they're interested in doing that. I don't think so. You know, see, here's the thing. When it comes to an EMP, there's not a whole hell of a lot of defense. Okay? There's just not. If you understand missile defense systems and stuff like that, you understand that, you know, there's a very, very high chance that even the first EMP is going to be successful. No less that they're probably going to launch several. Okay, but if you understand the missile defense systems, and understand, where the interception is actually intended to be, you also understand the threat of EMP and why it's even more so of a threat than a direct attack on the surface. So, and that's not even talking about the new hypersonic weapons, which is just mind-boggling as to how fast they are. So another thing I wanted to bring up with that. So there's a lot of important stuff, and I haven't been kind of looking over it. I do that a lot, and I apologize for those that's not used to the channel. I don't really monitor chat very well, but Jen does. Gangsta Giggles, she's on it, and she's really good about letting me know if there's questions or comments or anything like that I need to know about. So if anybody's got any questions for myself, let me know. This is something I've been, I've spent so many years diving in as deep as I can, trying to learn as much as I can about SHTF, so to speak, because I am beyond convinced it's going to be in my lifetime. And I know that there's people, people have been saying the end is going to come ever since the beginning, and I know that. I get that. However, in light of everything, whether you want to think about the Bible, or whether you want to think about society, or whether you want to think about economy, whether you want to think about the environment, there are so many factors here, and every single one of them are lining up to a major event like this. And I want to emphasize that this isn't just one single thing. This is kind of everything culminating and coming together, which is pretty crazy. So yeah, if anybody's got any questions on any of it, I'm the type of person, by the way, I'm not going to blow smoke up your butt. If I don't know the answer to a question, I'm not going to tell you I do. I'm not going to say, oh yeah, we'll do this, if I don't know. I'm not going to do that. At the same time, if you ask me something I don't know, chances are really, really high that I'm going to be very shortly after that digging into that and finding the answer. So that's what has helped me learn probably the most is questions, because I've ran across questions that I couldn't answer, and so I went and done my digging to find it. And so, I think that's ultimately important, and that's one of the things that we do here at the Watchman News, and that's why it's important to me that we do it here, is because what we do is we mix news with prepping, survival, bushcraft type of stuff, and silly stuff too, but we do that because it all goes hand in hand. And I think one of the most important things we can know as preppers is what it is that happens. Okay, I think it's extremely important for us to know as many details as we can about what happened, for instance, for grid down, to bring the grid down, because that helps you prepare for what you need to do next. Okay, hopefully you're already prepared in a manner that you've got what you need to make it through, but the thing of it is it's going to wind up going past that. And let me see here. I've got something going dee, and I have no idea what it is. I don't even know where the sound's coming from, do you? Huh. I don't know. I've got weird beeps going on here. I think it's probably the NSA. What do you think? Just joking around. But let me reach over and grab my tablet, because the battery could be going low on that or something. I don't know. Well, considering it was plugged in, I don't think it was that, but I think I do know what it is. Actually, I know what it is. It was the phone. We've got a cordless phone that's got real bad batteries in it. Yeah, I know. But anyway, there's so much with this, and this is this is what we do. We're trying to pump in as much information as we can to as many people as possible, because the more people that are prepared, the more people that are educated, the better chances for everybody. And that is our intent. Can't save everybody. That's just a fact. And I don't think we would want to. I mean, think about that. Think long and hard about that. There needs to be. Man, I don't want to sound cruel when I say this, but there's no other way. There needs to be a thinning of the herd. Plain and simple. There needs to be a thinning of the herd. Because there is just so much, and I'll say it, stupidity. And the reason why it's gotten so out of hand is a lot of it's complacency, and a lot of it's people's lives have, and I'm not speaking about everybody, I'm not necessarily even speaking about you, but a lot of people's lives have become so easy that that's what's caused them to become complacent, And unfortunately, when the folks are in that position, they don't know what it's like to be in any other position. I've seen something that really frustrates me. There's a meme going around, and it's a anti-Trump shirt, okay, and it's PTSD is what it says on it, right? And it's like something like something about President Trump. I don't know. It's kind of associating PTSD with the fact that Trump got into office, and that bothers me to no end. It absolutely bothers me to no end. And the reason why isn't that they're attacking Trump. I could care less about that, right? I could care less about that. What bothers me with that is the men and women that suffer from PTSD because they went and they put their lives on the line for this country, whether you agree with the words or not, okay? They put their lives on this country, and they come home and they have PTSD, and believe me, that is one hell of a battle, right? And it really kind of pisses me off to see those individuals, in my opinion, attacked like that. I mean, that to me, that's what that is, because it's senseless, it's pointless. But see, the people that are going on and sharing that, or the people that are buying that T-shirt, are people that haven't been to war. They're people that don't know what it's like to have something like PTSD. And I'm just talking about this not because I'm trying to be political, not at all. But this is the mindset. This is the mindset. We've got a mindset in this country to where as long as somebody's okay, they don't care about anybody else. As long as you make enough money, well, then you don't care about anybody else making money. You don't think anybody else should be able to make it, or you don't think they should make a living wage unless they do everything according to how you feel. Right? That's a problem, folks. That's a problem. Okay, not everybody, I got a buddy of mine that he's in that boat, by the way. He's a very, very strong-minded conservative, and he doesn't think minimum wage should go up. And I'm not getting into the minimum wage debate. Not going to go there because it's way more complicated than what we've got time to spit back and forth talking points. Okay, it goes much, much deeper than that. It's not as easy as just raising it, and it's not as easy as ignoring it. So we it's a situation that has to be dealt with. But let me talk to you about where I'm coming from. The complacency end. Been at his job for over 30 years, which is commendable. That is absolutely commendable. Over 30 years. Makes damn good money. Damn good money. Okay? He has no idea what it's like to live even off, say, $10 or $12 an hour, which is far higher than minimum wage. So he has become complacent on what it's like to be in that position because he's not been in that position. Hadn't been in that position for over 30 years. Has no idea how rough it is. Okay? Has no idea that if he lost his job today, that tomorrow he would likely be in the same boat. because the chances of him walking into another job that's going to pay him anywhere close to what he's making now is virtually not there. It's just not there. And especially in his particular field. So that's something that we have to be careful of. That and again, it goes back to there needs to be a thinning of the herd. And I know that sounds cruel. I get that. I know that. But we've lost respect for human. We've lost humanity, to be honest. And, that is another big reason. It all works back in with SHTF, folks. All works back in with SHTF. Because we've got so many things at hand right now. Look at the situation with the thought of civil war in this country. I I cringe when I think about it because I see what goes on. We do the news, so we cover a lot of stories that has to do with situations between races and I'm telling you, this country, it's like, and it's not just this country, by the way, it's the entire world. It's like there's a foot deep gasoline around the entire planet, right? And they're sitting there, somebody's sitting there striking a match every so often. And it's only a matter of time before one of those matches ignited. And I think that's the situation that we're in right now as far as like civil war in this country. It's not going to take much. It's not going to take much. And I want to throw another scenario at folks' way. And this isn't necessarily aimed at EMP or Grid Down. This is aimed directly at civil war. I want folks to ponder something. If you haven't pondered this tonight, spend tonight and think about this a little bit. If President Trump was assassinated, what do you think the chances are of civil war right then? Because I'll tell you right now, and this isn't, again, I don't fearmonger, I tell you the truth. I think there's about a 99% chance that if Trump was assassinated, this country would be thrown into an instant civil war. Without a doubt in my mind. Without a doubt in my mind, this country would be. Because, it's very volatile right now. And you've got so much tribalism going on, And that's one reason why I don't take a side. That's one reason why I don't take a political side. I don't take a religious side. I don't take sides. I don't take sides. And that's why. Because it clouds your thinking, okay? And, I look back at this and I see what's going on, and I look at the things that are being said and the things that are being done, and it's absolutely mind-boggling. Absolutely mind-boggling. And I know there's not a lot of presidents that's had, say, a Hollywood star, okay? In fact, I only know of, I guess, two, and that would be, of course, Trump and Ronald Reagan. Now, I don't know, I'm 46 years old, so I don't remember a lot of Reagan's presidency real well. But I don't think his Hollywood star was ever damaged. And if I'm wrong, please correct me. Please correct me, because it's just a matter of of me not being old enough at the time to retain that kind of information. But even go back further than that, go back other than that, not just Hollywood stars, but how many of the previous presidents, speaking Obama, either one of the Bushes or Clinton, how many things have been vandalized related to them, okay? Of course we can't talk about Obama's childhood home because that's in Kenya, but, what about Clinton's childhood home? Or the Bushes, or anything. And I'm just throwing the childhood home out there. Anything related to these individuals, right? Or how about statues even? You know what I'm saying? Anything like that. You don't see the level oh God, I don't even know the word to use. Hate is about the only word I can apply to it. You don't see the level of hate in this history like you do now. And so I think that's something that's very, very important that we keep an eye on. So I've got lots of things going ding, ding, bong, bong. So yeah, very, very interesting stuff. We've got a lot of stuff to keep our eye on. That's for sure. Without a doubt. Let's see. Okay, that's nothing nothing big. I've got several different whether it be apps on my phone or whatever it may be. I've got a lot of different sources for news and information, so it's quite often that I have a lot of noises going off, and I don't normally talk this long. Normally on this show we play a lot of video content on this show. So normally the first hour or so of the show I do a monologue, and that's more of me talking, but most of the rest of the show is me playing video. So I'm trying to think if there's anything more that I can add to it. If there's not, I'm probably going to throw up a couple of videos because I don't know of really anything else. Without any questions, I don't know anything else to talk about. So let's see here. Trying to think if there was something today that I ran across. Today I didn't get a chance to do to keep an eye on as much news as usual. That happens sometimes. Let me just scroll through here. Well, we could actually... Let's go ahead and watch Preppernurse1's video today, because I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it at all, and I would like to see it. Let me flip over to that side here, and we'll check out his video real quick. Like I said, I haven't had a chance to see it, and I try not to miss his videos. Let's see. Today's episode is titled Stacking Wood on a Very Hot and Humid Day at the Homestead.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm trying to. What's that? Hey everybody, Preppernurse1 here. Today, there's Heather over there. Today is Wednesday, July 25th, 2018. We had rain probably, what is it, at least to 11 this morning, wasn't it, Heather? Yeah, it was at least to 11 this morning. It was raining pretty hard. Rained through most of the night. We had a lot of rain the last few days, which, like I said, I'm never going to complain because that's good for the garden. And there's Eddie. Eddie, say hello. Eddie, say hello. Eddie Carswell. Say hello. All right. So, anyway, guys, as you can see, Eddie's overjoyed to be stacking wood. And I'll show you. So, Eddie's working on the smaller stuff here, putting it around the circle. I was pulling out and making two different piles. And the bigger stuff over here, and I'll show you, we put another pallet down back here, because all of these round ones, obviously I want to try to keep them all together before we get into this wood pile here and start stacking that. So I put another pallet down here, and then we've started stacking here, so this whole thing will be completely full once we get done here. So that's go ahead and keep going, sweetie. That's what
we're working on. So then, like I said, then we're going to get into the other wood pile and get that going. So it's supposed to rain again this afternoon. So during the break through here, we are going to get out here, and it is, I got to tell you, it is unbelievably muggy. I think the humidity's got to be 100%. I mean, it's just so heavy in the air, especially with all the rain and stuff like that. Temperature-wise, we're in the 70s, but like I said, it is just ridiculously muggy out here. So anyway, so first of all, let me just say, got an email from Legacy this morning. They have decided, because of the great demand of the sale, I'm going blank here for a second, sorry. Great demand for the sale that we had here. They've decided to extend it through the end of July. So you can still get 25% savings. Go to my link below, Preppernurse1.com. I sell Legacy there. I'm a reseller, and you can get the products there through the end of the month now. So through July 31st, that is going to continue to be on sale. So it's a good thing for you guys. Gives you an opportunity to continue to have some great savings. But we had just taken it down, and I get this email, and I'm like, oh boy, here we go. So I had to put it back up again. So Hurricane 2018, use that code. You get 25% off of any purchase that you make. So, okay, so let me do a couple real quick reviews. The flag that I got, that I showed you guys, I think it was yesterday's video, is actually the flag of Nova Scotia. So I know the package came from Canada. I saw that. So it's not anything other. I mean, people were saying, oh, it's not, you know, that's not the right flag to fly, but it's the flag of Nova Scotia. So we will be flying that flag. So thank you guys for the clarification on that. I do appreciate it. I would have had no idea, absolutely no idea. But that is the flag of Nova Scotia. So just so everybody knows. What else was I going to tell you? So two things recently just happened, and so I just wanted to kind of mark those. Just crossed over 5 million views not that long. I'm thinking about like 5,200,000 already now, and we just crossed over 40,000 subscribers, which is absolutely amazing to me, to be honest with you. I just you know, getting started, and I'm going to go back again and talk about this for a second. I remember when I hit 400 subscribers, and I got a notification from YouTube. It said, you now have enough people to fill up, you know, a movie theater. And so that was pretty cool at the time, and I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. It kind of put things into perspective. And a buddy of mine put it into perspective with hitting 40,000 subscribers. We're at 40,200 right now. And he told me, he goes, let's put it like this. He goes, you have more subscribers than the Mets are drawing for their games. So that's pretty wild too. But so guys, I just wanted to really say to all of you who have followed the channel, supported the channel. I know a lot of you guys have been there from early on. A few of you have mentioned that, you know, I was one of your first couple hundred subscribers. I want to go back to Dale McCormick. He won my first giveaway when we hit 500 subscribers. He won the first giveaway, and you know, it's just those things. It's like different things sticking in my mind, and it's pretty cool. I mean, it's just it's been an incredible journey, and I want to just really thank all of you for being a part of that and stuff like that as well. So it's really, it means a lot to me. It really truly does, and the continued support by everybody, you know, it really truly does mean a lot. I gotta tell you, see, now I'm making a video, right? No, actually, I told them when I started making the video that they could take a break. So the other thing I want to let you guys know today, this video will be up before then, so you'll see it. Today, 6 o'clock East Coast time, probably for an hour and a half range, might be 2 hours. I will be on the Watchman tonight. I will put that link below to his channel as well, so you can see that, and you can go there. we will be talking about EMPs today, and so we're going to be doing a live thing. And actually, he had said there was one of the commenters actually also had a question about autism. So I can honestly say that I would consider myself an expert in autism. Eddie was diagnosed at 2.5 years old. He is now 16 and he'll be 17 in October. And so I know a little bit about autism. And we live it every day, but that's okay. But so if you have questions about autism, please feel free. I would be more than happy to answer questions, my thoughts as well on that whole topic, because like I said, I live it every day. So, but anyway, so a couple of people asked, and so I want to clear. I'm just trying to think of different things that people have asked. I don't always get a chance to get in. I don't answer questions like I used to, and I do apologize for that. But just with so many people now, it's very, very difficult, and I don't have all that time to spend literally hours answering questions every day. I just don't. I'm trying to get other things done. So a couple questions that somebody asked. Heather is a senior this year. She will be starting her senior year. Eddie is all done with school. Now, yes, they are twins. I pulled him out. He is no longer going to be part of the school system. We've had a tutor that's come to the house the last 2 years. The year before that, he went to school for a grand total of 2 weeks for the entire school year. So it was a freaking fiasco. The school system, as far as with autistic kids or kids with special needs in general, is absolutely atrocious. So just, you know, doing that clarification on that. So that's what's happening with those guys. Basically, the reality is that my son will be home with me as long as I'm alive, and I hope that after I pass, that his brother and his sister step up. He has a half-brother, Joshua. I've talked about him in videos as well. Joshua just finished college. He's now living in New Jersey, and him and his girlfriend are doing very, very well. I'm very, very proud of him. He's a great kid, and I hope to think that I had something to do with that. But he's a very squared away young man. Just like I said, just finished college and came out of college and got a job right away, and now he's living with his girlfriend in New Jersey, and she works in New York City. So, and he's got, like I said, he's working down there. But anyway, so hopefully once I pass, that they will step up, and I will hopefully have this completely established, because I don't plan on going anywhere for quite a while. I figure I got, you know, I'd like to have 30 more years. That would be cool. But hopefully things are established enough here, and I've already put things into place already, so that if I pass, that Eddie can stay right here, and he can have, you know, basically do what he needs to do, and with monitoring from his sister and his brother, you know, just making sure he's got his essential needs and taking care of things that need to be taken care of, that he can be okay, and you know, he can live here for the rest of his life. And I'm going to have that completely, like I said, I've already put steps in place for that, and Heather knows my wishes as well. I do not ever want him to be in a facility. Never. Not in a million years. I've worked with the system, and it is freaking not good. So I'll just put it like that. We'll do another whole video on the healthcare system on another day. It'll be an interesting topic as well. But anyhow, just want to tell you, you know, that like I said, this is what we're working on. It's actually starting to sprinkle a little bit. So I'm going to jump off of here so that we can continue to do some more wood stacking here before the rain really comes again. Remember, guys, tonight I will be on the Watchman starting at 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, probably for an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, okay? Now, I have a tendency to be long-winded, so it might push towards the 2-hour mark. So again, guys, thank you so much. 40,000 subscribers. It blows me away, to be honest with you. It's amazing, and I'm so humbled by the whole thing. You have no idea. The support has been fantastic. You know, people sending care packages and stuff like that, and you know, anything that is sent, it is very much appreciated. You know, you guys know you don't have to do that, but it is definitely appreciated, and the kids appreciate it too. You know, and it's been very. You guys have been awesome. The support has been incredible. You know, I really do appreciate that. And even the trolls watching every day, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys watching as well. So anyway, guys, listen, I'm going to jump off here for now so we can get back to work. Remember, hug and kiss the ones you love. Tell them every day. I know I say it in every video, but it is really important. You know, tomorrow is not guaranteed. We never know what is going to happen. And so it's very important that you tell the people that you care about every day. And, you know, family's not always blood. Remember that too. I have friends that I consider my brothers. Reese, you know you're my brother. Steve, down in Maryland, you know you're my brother. You know, so and Randy in Rochester, you guys are my brothers, man, and that's it, period. You know, I mean, it's, they know I would do anything for them, and I know that they would do anything for me. So, That's a good thing. So anyway, and remember, guys, STD. It's one step at a time, one thing at a time, and one day at a time. Whatever you're trying to do, whatever you're trying to accomplish, you can do it. And the only one that's going to stop you from getting there is yourself. Nobody else can do that, okay? That's so important, too. So stay motivated, stay positive, keep a good attitude. Don't listen to the negativity, and you can reach your goals. And, man, I'll tell you what, it's a good feeling when you knock things out. It really, truly is. I will talk to you all tomorrow. Have a great day, and I'll see you tonight, hopefully, over on the Watchman, answering questions over there, okay? I will talk to you later. Preppernurse1, out for now.
Alrighty, so I said I would give a little bit of inside information, and so I'm going to do so. I'm a man of my word. Either tomorrow or Friday, I'm not sure which day, Preppernurse1 will be receiving a package from us, which will include 3 packages inside the one package for a contest or a giveaway or whatever he chooses. It's up to him. But decals like we have on his site. That is us that makes the decals, by the way. That's on his site. So we sent him a package that's got decals in it. It's got and they're the different packages are different colors, but there's all 4 decals that we have on his site. Each package contains each of the decals. Again, the colors are a little bit mixed up. There's some red, some blue, some white. I'm trying to think of which ones. There are some that were only white, and I think it was the I want to say it was the I Get My STDs from Preppernurse1 and the Got Kids, Why Aren't You Prepping? I think those 2 are white in all the packages. But the fan, the SHTF one, and the hug the ones you kiss and love, hug and kiss the ones you love, those alternate between blue and red, I think it is, between the 2. But anyway, he's got 3 of those packs that he's going to be giving away, whether it be a contest or random drawing or combination of the 2 or whatever the case may be. So keep an eye out for that, because they are definitely going out. There is going to be updates, by the way, on these. I haven't had a chance to do that, and I apologize. Sometimes I get pretty slammed with work. But I am going to be updating this because I realize, $9.99 for a single decal is, that to me that's expensive. So I'm going to be updating that. I'm trying to figure out. I'm kind of limited on the back end with the store options. I'm the one that built the website as well, and so I'm kind of limited with what I can do in the back end as far as setting the store up. So I'm trying to figure out a way to make it a much, much better deal, considering that everything we ship, everything we send out, everything has tracking. Everything we do has tracking. And so that winds up being a little bit more of an expense. Otherwise, we'd sell them a lot cheaper if it wasn't for the more expensive shipping. But I think what I'm going to do, what I wanted to do is I wanted to build a pack. Like here, you can get the value pack that's got all 4 of them. What I wanted to do was build a pack to where you get, set up with a bunch of different decals, and you decide what decals and what colors of what decals. But the store won't let me do that. So I don't know if what I'm going to do is double up the packages to where you get like 2 of them in there for the same price, or what I'm going to do exactly. But I am going to do something to make that a much, much better deal. So just letting everybody know that is coming. But I wanted to give everybody that little bit of inside information that there's going to be a contest or a raffle or something. It's totally up to him, and just wanted to give you a heads up on that happening. But okay, well, I better wrap the show up. Facebook gives us 4 hours. That's the longest you can stream on Facebook. If you aren't done, they done you. Right? It's like being suicided by the Clintons. Anyway, or should I say auto-suicided? But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the show. I do appreciate everybody coming. I hope folks that haven't been here before, I hope to see you again. And I couldn't appreciate you guys coming anymore. So, as always, I always end the show with this. We love you all. God bless you all. We love you all, and be one with your spirit. I can't even get my own tagline right. I hope everybody has a great night. Thanks for coming.